And so before we get into this debate, please, Lekavod Rav, esteemed rabbi in America, please give your message over to your haters. I'm going to give you the mic.
Good evening, Adam, and all the listeners. Of course, you know how it is as a group of people, anti-Semite, neo-Nazis, the way you want to define them. They're looking for someone that has a large audience, and they try, through his platforms to spread their anti-Semitism. And the problem is like this: I don't mind anyone would say anything they want as long as they stick to the details and to the truth. The problem with these people is that they are serious deceivers. They bunch of scammers. They take a little half a minute from one part of the lecture and another minute from another part, and they put fake headlines, and they convince their audiences that I say one thing, which I say the exact opposite, and it happens again and again and again, nonstop. I just give you an example. The last few days ago, Tucker Carlson, he was sitting with two black guys. I don't know who they are in a show. Someone sent me a clip, and they show over there. It said the two guys saying to him that I promote genocide against Christians, all kinds of nonsense like that. And they show a clip that I spoke in one of the lectures that I said that according to the Torah, when God gave the Torah to the Jews, the warning over there is to all humanity, not just to the Jewish people, to the Jews and to the Gentiles, that are not allowed to worship any idol. And any Jew or Gentile, I say clearly, Jews and Gentiles, that worship idols, according to the Torah, it's a death penalty. Now, I also say that there's no executions for 2,000 years, as you all know, since the temple was destroyed. The Sanhedrin is no longer in effect. No one is allowed to execute anyone, not murderers, not idol worshippers, not desecrators of the Sabbath. There's few other sins that the Torah gave a death penalty. And I said that we have no say here. We cannot execute anyone. Therefore, the only one who decide what to do to the sinners is God himself. So that part, of course, they don't show. And I speak about the world to come. I say that Christians don't have to become Jews. All they have to do is to be righteous Gentiles. All Jews and righteous Gentiles, when they die, they go to heaven. If they are sinners, they have to pay for their sins unless they repent. They remove all of that. And I put in a headline that I said that according to the Torah, there are about 6 billion people. Muslims are not idol worshippers. They believe in one God, and the God that created the world, the God of the Torah. But I say everybody else worship idols, worship all kinds of man-made idols, or worship JC in Christianity that said that he's God, you have to pray to him, and you don't go directly to the real God, the creator of the world. That's already a violation of the Torah for Jews and for Gentiles. Now, the way they show it is like I have anything personally against the Christians. Nothing. It's all baloney. I don't have anything against anyone. I teach Torah and I teach it precisely as it's written. I'm not a politician. I don't have my own agendas. I only teach what God told us in his Torah. That's it. First, I prove that the Torah is divine. It can never be written by a human being. After people understand by watching my film Torah and Science, they see that you cannot argue with that film. It's 4 hours of evidence, one proof after the other. Everyone who watched that film, Jews and non-Jews, are 100% convinced that the Jewish Torah that was given to the Jews in a public event, it can never be written by a human being. Only the creator of the world was able to write such a book. And once you know that, you have to just read what's there. You don't even really need me for that. I just bring it to the people who are too lazy to open and read themselves. So any Jew and any Gentile that would read in the Torah how much God hates idol worshippers, how much he's angry with idol worshipping, as the scene of the golden calf, when they were dancing around the golden calf, thousands of people died. There was a disaster. It's written in the Talmud that every generation we suffer from that sin. And until this moment, Why? Because there is zero tolerance to idol worshipping. We are not talking against Americans and Europeans or Arabs or Chinese. That's not the issue here. It's not politics here. In politics, everybody argue about nationality, land, wars, all of that things. That's not what I'm interested in. I am interested to teach the original book of God and to prove that everything that came after, it's all fake. It's nothing to do with the creator of the world. The books that came after, such as Christianity and Islam and Buddhism and Hinduism and all these religions, they are not from the creator of the world. They contradict the original book of the Torah. They have many, many human errors in them, and that's what I'm specialized in. Now, these Nazis, what they do is they say that according to my lecture, they put an headline that I actually call for the death of 6 billion people. The opposite. Every day we pray 3 times a day that God will put peace on the land, and we pray for the Gentiles as well. We write clearly for the Gentiles that are righteous, for all the people. So this is just an example what kind of liars these people are. They have zero truth in them. They have zero dignity. They have no respect, no self-respect to stand and to know that you lie and put an headline to thousands or to millions of people and make a propaganda that we call for the death of people. It's nonsense. It's all lies. And we call them, actually. We call them for debate. We send a message to Nick Fluentes and to Tucker Carlson and to a few other ones. Of course, all of them are afraid. They don't have the guts to debate. I'm still calling them right now in this podcast now. Any one of them that is brave enough to face the truth, I'm going to show the whole world what kinds of liars they are. We will show what I really said and what they claim I said. And everybody will see that the wasting time on those people, it's nonsense, it's stupidity. Why would you follow a liar? Why would you follow someone that is nothing but a dirty politician who takes the truth and twists it 180 degrees and present it as the opposite of what the rabbis say? So that's basically, in general, what's been going on in the last few days.
So I'm really grateful for that, Rabbi, and I wanted to give you that space to call these people out. I think it's very, very important that we get the word out and that people understand exactly what the damage a liar can do, and how these people really, they just want to paraphrase and propagandize and weaponize even our own Torah against us. And the truth is, Rabbi, it's the greatest sin, and it does lead to death. With that, I want to kick off our debate series, folks. Rabbi Mizrachi and I, we challenge all of you. Reach out to me. You all know me. And some of you have agreed to this debate. But the one who really made Rabbi Mizrachi famous to all of you, he's here with us today. None other than Adam Green. And Adam Green's community on the internet, comprised of guys, you know who you are. I gave you shout outs earlier. You guys were the ones who discovered all the rabbis on the internet, not just Rabbi Mizrachi. And on top of that, all of your clips are the ones that get stolen and taken out of context. And so to start the debate series off with really where Rabbi Mizrachi starts off on the internet is really the most apropos place. With that, I want to welcome my good friend, definitely not a Jew, Adam Green, No More News. And we got some vocal problems. There he is.
You got me. Thank you, Adam, for setting this up. Someone needs to pinch me. This feels like a literal dream. I've been watching Mizrachi for years. I've long said you're my favorite rabbi. Easily, just being honest, most prolific, most straightforward. You don't care what other people think. Nothing sugar-coated. And this is why myself and my friends have been watching you and clipping you for years, making compilations of not just you, but lots of rabbis. And I would never want to take you out of context or misrepresent any of your views, but you easily are the most famous rabbi in modern times on the internet. So I'm honored to be here debating with the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Mizrachi. The title was, we're going to debate if Jesus existed. I've heard you a few recent interviews doubting his existence. I actually have recently wrote a book, The Jesus Deception, a mystical midrashic myth. I want to get into some more of your thoughts, expanding on Jesus, or I should say JC, right? JC.
Yeah. My
So I'll tell
version
JC
you,
of
Penny.
Rabbi
Yeah.
Mizrachi, these guys have seen all of your content. Unlike any other group on the internet that knows who you are, they have seen everything that you've done.
I'm flattered. I'm flattered. I mean, I'm always open to conversation about the truth. We all, in the end, I'm sure that every one of them also wants to live by the truth, follow the right direction. Sometimes the disagreement, we can clarify it, you know.
Can you see I'm sharing my screen? I made a meme inspired by you and your Jesus mockery. Do you see it?
I have the debate screen. I can't share that, but
Oh,
I'll throw
shoot.
it up
Okay,
later.
well,
On
okay, I'll have to send it to you. It's Jesus in front of a JC Penny that looks like a church selling crucifixes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
You
too bad. I
know,
thought I could share screen.
Here,
You guys would
Adam,
have loved
try
that.
one more time. Let's see if I could get Adam's screen up there.
Okay.
no,
well,
that's me. Yeah.
that's him. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Boom. Nope.
All right, here it is. No, there it is. Yep.
Yeah, I can see that now.
70% off for the Gentiles, the crucifixes in front of the JC Penny church. 40 shekels. The
You're
JC
actually
Penny.
going to sell it in Israel also, your book is going to
I'm going to
be...
go do a book tour in Israel. Yeah, I want to wake up all the rabbis to the Jesus deception. Give you some talking points to use against all of these Christians. Here's one more too. You like this one, Adam?
You got me
JC Penny.
curious.
Hold on. Let me get. He's got another one he wants to share with us.
Let me ask you, did you watch my debate with a Christian professor? The 3
I
hours
think I've
debate?
seen some of it a long time ago, but I hear you mentioned it a lot of times. But yeah, I want to
Yes.
get into your thoughts on Jesus being a myth. Because usually rabbis don't say, they say Jesus existed, he's in the Talmud. You don't see a lot of rabbis saying he's a complete myth. Why do you think that is?
Here's where we're going tonight, fellas, because the truth
You see the meme though, Adam? Do you like this? JC Penny behind
it's
the counter?
good. It's really good. I was under the impression that Jesus existed. So having this debate, did Jesus exist? I think you guys are both in agreement with this. So like, I think it's really you're trying to convince me if Jesus didn't exist or not. I know that Jesus of Nazareth, there's two different Jesus of Nazareths, and they're both in the Talmud mentioned in two different places. I always thought that this meant that one of them was the Jesus of Nazareth that the Christians are always talking about, and it's one of the proofs of Jesus and one of the things that bind Christians to the Talmud. If I'm wrong, I think this is a great place to start the debate. Did Jesus exist, Rabbi Mizrachi?
Okay, so the Talmud speaks about a person named Yeshua, which was a common name in those days, Yud Shin Vav and Ayin, and they describe a person that was learning by a big rabbi named Rav Yoshua ben Farchia. He was in yeshiva, and the rabbi kicked him out of the yeshiva. And that's the story that appears in the Talmud. The problem is that the JC that the Christians present and the JC that the Talmud speaks about have about 150 years difference in their time. So it cannot be that they're talking about the same famous JC. Now, when you go to the New Testament, right, when they describe the genealogy of Joseph the carpenter, right? They try to link him all the way to King David because in the Torah, which is the Old Testament, and they claim that God gave part 2, which is a continuation of the 24 books of Judaism, right? Judaism starts with Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and then you have the book of Joshua and the Kings, and the prophets, and it goes all the way to King Solomon, the Songs of Songs, altogether 24 books. Then came the Christians, and they claim that God gave them another book, which is the New Testament, which is the evangelist, Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, those, and then they have additional parts, which is the Acts, that they have additionals to the New Testament, and the New Testament is trying to continue from where Judaism left, and they say that God gave part 2. Now, when you review in the beginning of Christianity, they try to prove that Joseph the carpenter is a grandson of King David. So they describe the story that Joseph, in Hebrew it's Yosef, just like my name, Yosef, is a very common name. In Arabic they say Yusuf, in Farsi they say Yosef, but it's the same name.
In English it's Joseph.
Joseph, yeah. So they figure it from the Torah. So he meets Miriam, which is another Jewish woman. They get engaged. They have a chuppah, like a Jewish wedding, as you all know. Once the husband, the bride and the groom is under the chuppah, he puts the ring on her finger. They officially are now married, but the conclusion of the act of the marriage is intimacy. But in the old days, the custom was that he would go away and come back after a few months with some money that he made. And now they're building their own homes. Now, remember, to build a home wasn't like today. You need 2 years to build a home. They take some wood, build a house, cover it with tar, insulation, whatever they can do, and you have a house. So he comes back after a few months and he sees she's pregnant. And he asked her, what did you do? And she said, I didn't cheat. God came to me in a dream and made me pregnant, and this boy will be somebody holy and all. So that's the story. Now, just before that, they tried to link Joseph the carpenter to King David. Why? Because in the Torah, it's written Messiah, son of David. So it cannot be just a righteous Jew. It has to be a righteous Jew that comes from the family of King David. If he will be just a righteous Jew from a different family, he can never be the Messiah. For instance, if he's going to be a righteous Jew that his last name is Levi, it's from the tribe of Levi. It can never be the Messiah. Or a Cohen, someone that his last name is Cohen, that means it's from the tribe of the Kohanim. It cannot be the Messiah. So it has to be from the family of King David. And now when they describe
from the family of King, let's just be clear, okay?
Yeah.
From the King
it has
family.
To be King David, because God
from the
promised,
King family.
God promised King David that his kingdom will return and the Messiah will come. Okay, so now when they describe the genealogy of King David all the way to Joseph the carpenter, in 2 of the books of the evangelists, they have 22 mistakes. 22 mistakes. There is a description who gave birth to who. In one book, it describes a list. You go to another book, which is from the same God according to them, 22 different names, different order, complete mess up. So now, imagine now in a book, in the Torah, in one place it would say that Abraham gave birth to Isaac, Isaac gave birth to Jacob, Jacob gave birth to Joseph, Joseph gave birth to Ephraim, and then you go to another chapter in the Torah, and it say Abraham gave birth to Joshua, Joshua gave birth to Ezra, Ezra gave birth to Isaac, Isaac gave birth to Joseph, complete mess up. A normal intellectual that reads such nonsense can believe another minute that this is a divine book. In a divine book, do you have such human errors? It's ridiculous. It's something like this. You have in the same book a description, and then of over 30 generations, all the way from King David to Joseph the carpenter, and you have 22 mistakes, different names, different order, complete. So what? God doesn't know who gave birth to Joseph the carpenter, who was his grandfather and a great-grandfather, that in one place it describes one name, and on another page it describes completely different names. So therefore, how JC came to the world to begin with, it's not clear, because it doesn't make sense. Either it's this one or none of them. Now the best part is, after they describe all this genealogy, they tell a story that Joseph went away, and when he came back, he see that his wife Mary, she's pregnant. And he asked her, how do you become pregnant? I never lay a finger on you. And she said to him, I didn't cheat. So according to Christianity, who is the mother of JC? Mary. Everybody saw where he came from, right? Who is the father? According to them, it's God. God is a grandson of King David? why did you waste a whole page to describe that Joseph the carpenter is from the family of King David, regardless of all the mistakes? But the point was to prove that the father of JC is from the family of King David, and that's why JC can be the Messiah. But right after that, you say that he has nothing to do with the boy. He's not his biological father. And according to the Torah, the genealogy goes after the father. If your father is a Kohen, you are a Kohen. If your mother is coming from a family of a Kohanim, of a Kohen, you're not a Kohen. Everybody knows it. If your father is a Levi, you're a Levi. If my mother is a Levi, I'm not a Levi. I'm not acting as a Levi in a synagogue. So obviously, you see, no matter how you look at it, this book, the chance that it was given by God is 0%. There's not even 0.01% chance that this book is divine. Because the book that is telling us everything we know about JC obviously is not from God, therefore we cannot rely on the story that JC even exists. I'll give you an example. Sometimes Christians come to me and say to me, what are you talking about? I had a dream last night about JC, talk to me and this and this and that. I say, how did he look? They say he had long hair and a goatee, and they describe exactly the image of the statue on Brazil. You know the statue that they put on the mountain there in Brazil?
Right.
I say to the guy, don't be stupid. In the time of JC 2,000 years ago, not one Jew in the world would dare to grow long hair like a woman. It's against the Torah.
You look like me, right? Like all the Christians, they want Jesus to look like me.
One of the restrictions of the Torah, as you know, that a man is not allowed to look like a woman, not to dress like a woman, not to put jewelry of a woman, or not to have hair of the woman. So
yeah, and he wears robes too.
Do you think that JC 2,000 years ago, that was in a time that all Jews were extremely religious, and that he's going to have a hair like this and a goatee? Where did you ever see religious Jews that look like that? A serious one. So obviously, this whole thing is based on a fairy tale. There is no evidence that it happened, but I give them the benefits of the doubt. When I debate them, I follow what they claim. And based on what they claim and based on their book, the New Testament and the Evangelist and the Acts, I prove to them that those books are full of human errors, full. That's why I made that 3 hours debate. And many Christians, believe it or not, among them dozens of priests from all over the world, from Ukraine, from Russia, from Africa, from United States, from Texas, from so many places. They wrote to me, thank you for enlightening my eyes. You gave me the answer to all the doubts I had. As a matter of fact, one of the priests in Ukraine told me, I'm teaching your Torah to all my students here in a church where I am. There are 5,000 students over here, and they are all amazed by all the information, but I'm very much afraid that one day they'll find out that everything I teach them comes from a Jewish rabbi, because in a minute they'll find out, that day I will be killed. That's how much they are anti-Semites over here in Ukraine, that if they'll find out that I'm listening to a Jewish rabbi and I bring his stuff and teach it to them, that will be the last day of me and my family. So,
but they also want us all to believe that their God is a Jewish rabbi too, you know? So it's kind of like a weird symbiotic thing. Rabbi, I don't want to cut you off, but I want to focus on the debate. Adam has in his book, he extensively goes into different reasons why he believes that Jesus is not God. Not God, but that he did not only exist. And that being said, you know, I want to give him the space to share a little bit about his background, because it is fascinating. I'm not sold yet on either if he existed or not based on what you said, but Adam has an entirely different set of reasons why he didn't exist. Adam, why don't you start and give over the Jesus deception to Rabbi Mizrachi?
Sure. Well, I agree that the Jesus in the Talmud is dated to a different time period, and it's not even describing like the exact same story. And the Talmud may have been compiled like hundreds of years after Jesus existed, so it could be a polemic. I've read a good book called The Jesus the Jews Never Knew by Frank Zindler. I cite this in my book. It goes through the Talmud, the mentions of Jesus in the Talmud, and in the Toldot Yeshu. Toldot Yeshu. How do you say it, Rabbi?
Sefer Toldot Yeshu.
Yeshu, right.
Toldot Yeshu, yeah. And that's just a response that the Jews never actually knew an earthly Jesus. And I would argue, I brought up many times, lots of people debunking Christianity bring up that.
Excuse me for 1 second. There's one thing I wanted just for you to confirm to me is based on my learning about Christianity. Christianity started between 70 and 300 years after JC died, meaning nobody started it in his days. That's what I learned.
Think it was started by Paul, James, and Peter, probably in between the 30s and the 50s, and that there was no earthly Jesus that it started with. He began as a myth, and then with Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they placed him on earth and gave him a biography. But including the Joseph father, I think the reason that they made up, like in Paul's letter, he calls Jesus the son of David, but to be the Messiah, you have to be the son of David. So that's why he would just say that in there, because he's writing a story about the fulfillment of the Messiah. But when they said he's the son of Joseph, I think that's because there's early traditions of two Messiahs, Messiah, son of Joseph, who dies, and Messiah, son of David. But what I want to say, though, so you talked about like problems with the New Testament, but like, is there an actual person at the core? Like the New Testament that we have, the epistles and the gospels, which have you read I'm curious, have you read the New Testament through?
Not from the beginning to the end, but I took experts that used to be priests, and they wrote all the scams and all the lies and all the contradictions, and I compiled everything into one lecture, and that's how I became kind of
have you read any books on the historical Jesus debate, like or on Jesus being a myth?
I read different articles about it, yes, and that's why I say that it doesn't match the story of the Talmud based on the time. People think that that's the Jesus they talk about, but it doesn't match the time.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. The Talmud says that Jesus is stoned and hung on a tree, which that's not what the New Testament says. It's weird that if Jesus was really killed by Pilate, like it says in the New Testament, that the Jews in the Talmud would say, no, we did it, and the Romans had nothing to do with it. So that's a little weird. So what I want to ask you, though, so Christians always say Jesus fulfilled hundreds of prophecies from the Tanakh. And it's, if you see Paul, the earliest books of the New Testament are from Paul, and he never knew Jesus. And he says he didn't learn about him from any other man or any oral traditions. He learned from revelation in Scripture. And then he describes this revelation as being caught up into the third heaven that he calls paradise. So this just sounds like, many have noted, it's early Merkava mysticism. It's mystical Judaism, and they're creating like a pesher through midrash of interpreting scripture mystically and then writing a story fulfilling prophecies from the Old Testament. So I think that's the origin of Jesus. So some magical superhero comic book character Jesus didn't do all these miracles and fulfill hundreds of prophecies. Just some ancient mystical Jews wrote a story from prophecy and then sold it to the Gentiles. So what do you think of that idea?
Well, so first of all, it's good, very good point. But I would like to add to what you say about that according to the Talmud, the story of that JC was that he was hung on a cross, and then this is the way when they used to execute people. First of all, you should know that it was very, very rare that anyone was executed. In the Talmud, it described that the Sanhedrin, which had 71 judges, they did everything they came to find contradictions between the witnesses, even if they're not relevant, the contradictions, because they did not want to execute anyone. They wanted to leave it to God. If God wants him to live, let him live. He wants him dead, he will find how to kill him. Why should we kill him? But when they finally executed someone, they had to hang his body until the evening. And by then they must take it when it gets dark and bury him. So therefore, according to Christians, they turned him into the Romans, and the Roman kills him. If the Roman kills him, there's no cross, none of these things. So it doesn't really match. It's a complete contradiction. Okay, so that's right away. You brought a very good point. What described by them and what described in the Talmud completely is no match, nothing whatsoever. Now, besides that, you say that he fulfilled prophecies from the Tanakh, from the Jewish.
Well, he didn't exist, but they clearly wrote in the New Testament, like they're saying, and then this fulfills this prophecy, and then Jesus fulfilled that, and he said this, so this prophet was fulfilled.
He did not fulfill one. They are the most unbelievable deceivers and scammers. I give you an example of what
Who
they do.
is? Who?
The
So
Christians,
who,
the Christians that follow, that try to teach Christianity, you bring it to
but
their
the first
attention.
Christians were Jewish, though, right?
No, but let me explain to you. For instance, there is a word in a Tanakh that there will be a woman, and she's gonna be, she's gonna have a son, Emmanuel, and they describe that he's talking about Jesus. And I say to the Christian professor in a debate, this is 600 years before he was born. He's talking about hunger in the land. There's nothing to do with him. He didn't. He will only be born 600 years later. Why you deceive your listeners? And they say, here, you see, the word alma means a virgin. I said to them, who knows Hebrew, you or me? You do not know Hebrew, you speak English. Alma means a young lady, not relevant if she's a virgin or not. Alma means a young lady, virgin, not virgin, that's another issue. Right now, they take a word that it's written alma and they translate it a virgin. And when you bring it to their attention that it's a lie, that's deceiving the audience, they continue with this lie to this moment. Everywhere you go, all these Christian missionaries, when they come and try to fool people that the prophecies of the Tanakh, JC fulfilled them, and this is what the Tanakh talks about him, and he's going to take the suffering. None of them has any evidence that it relates to him. Nothing, no connection. But the way of the deceivers is to do manipulation, to take something. And I decided that the Tanakh talks about JC. Where is your proof? No proof. This is what we say. Okay, so if you want to follow such nonsense, fine. But there's no evidence whatsoever. There's not one word about him in the Tanakh. He's not mentioned by the Jewish prophet. None of that. So therefore, to say that, by the way, you should know the Messiah had conditions that what he will do. One of the things he will do, he will gather all the Jewish people into the Holy Land, and he will build the temple, and there will be at that time, he will defeat all the wicked people. None of that he did. He could not even save his life. According to their story, he was begging the Romans not to kill him. If you're a God or son of God, or you're supposed to be the Messiah that will save the world, you have to beg to some Roman cruel soldiers to spare your life. You couldn't do anything about it. So obviously,
I wouldn't want to worship a God that was killed by Jews.
You know that they made a clip of me.
What about a God that's killed by Romans? Would you worship a God that's killed by Romans?
Adam, did you see the clip that they made that I say, how can you be stupid and say that the Jews kill your God? If he was killed by people, that means he was never a God. So half of the people there include the Gentiles and Christians. They actually wrote, he has a point. How can you kill a person and still think that that person was a God or son of God or had divine abilities? If someone is God, I can go and kill a God. What kind of nonsense is this?
Rabbi Mizrachi,
that is the one. That is the one that one of the ones that we clipped up of you, and I've covered on my show.
Hold on one second. So, Rabbi Mizrachi, before you go down on that path, Adam, I want to say in Adam's book, he also he describes more of like that the later people who came to describe Jesus created him out of thin air, looking back in hindsight at these verses. That he was just made up from those verses. What do you think about that? Do you think that there was? Is there any validity that that he was not, that he actually existed and was a person that they thought was the Messiah but wasn't the Messiah, or is it as Adam says that they invented him out of thin air and
Jesus didn't
wrote
live
him
and
to
was
the part
crucified by the Romans? And then he fulfilled Isaiah 53 as the suffering servant who was pierced for our transgressions. No, they were reading Isaiah 53. They're ignoring the actual context, and they believe the servant was code for Messiah. So then they wrote the story. Paul says he learned that Jesus was crucified according to the scriptures, meaning he learned this from the scriptures. And in Peter, it's clear they're doing midrash, where they're taking scripture of Isaiah 53 and then just making up the story from that. Okay, that's how I think it started. And I think it was Jews, mystical Jews, a sect of Jews. And I want to ask you, so if Jesus is invented from prophecy, like who invented him and why did they invent him? Because I've seen you say How can I, this is my clip too. Have you seen me clip this one? How can I not be happy when I see billions of goyim bowing down to one
Yeah.
Jew tonight? The Christians never want to share that video. They want to act like there's nothing you hate more than Jesus. And that's why we
Actually,
should all the goyim should worship him because you hate him.
Before you answer that question, though, answer my question.
Let him go. He's gonna forget what I said.
Answer my question in just like a one-word answer. Like, was in your belief, was Jesus made up completely two-part, scripted based on what they found in the prophecies?
Yes, that's the answer is yes. And like I said, there's no evidence that he existed. It's based on stories and like the midrash and here, and none of that adds up together. You don't get a clear picture from it. But you see about Christmas Eve, right? There was Rabbi Berkowitz in Lausanne in Switzerland. He was working in a business there, and he was, he said to a Christian worker in the office, it was December 24th, he told him, tonight is the happiest night of my life. They have half a day. They all leave early, and on December 24th, by 1 p.m., everyone goes home. They're preparing for the holiday. So the Christian asked him, Rabbi, you're a Jew. You're not a Christian. Why tonight is the happiest night of your life? So he said to him, how can I not be happy that 2 billion Christians admire and bow down to one Jew all over the world? On the 26th, when that Christian came back to the office, he told him, Rabbi, I want you to know, because of you, I had the worst Christmas ever. I could not pray in a church at all to JC. Every year I pray to him, but now every time I wanted to pray to him, I just remember that he was a religious Jew. How can I admire a Jew? Meaning, you understand, all the anti-Semites are waking up. Wait a minute, I'm worshiping a human being that was a Jewish person.
That's
son of Miriam the Jew. So if he was born to a Jewish mother, according to the Torah, he's Jewish, and they all worship the Jew. Now, regarding the one more thing you should know, based on what they write in the book of Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 17 to verse 19. The 3 verses over there, every Christian that have honesty in him and integrity in him, after he will read Matthew 5, 17 to 19, immediately should become a fully Orthodox religious Jew immediately, if he really have respect to JC. Okay, and it's not my words, it's not the words of the rabbi, it's what's written in the New Testament. Let me describe what's written over there for those who never paid attention. JC comes to his followers, to his students, and he preached to them. He said to them, do not think that I came to contradict the Torah. I did not come to contradict the Torah. Anyone who would contradict one word of the Torah or one of the commandments of the Torah, even the smallest one, and will modify it and teach otherwise to people, will be cursed by the kingdom of heaven. I did not come to contradict. I just came to fulfill, to teach. So now, based on that, if this is your Messiah, if this is your Son of God, if this is who you worship, if this is who you follow, and he says in his book, according to your version, that no one of his followers should contradict one of the commandments of the Torah. And if anyone will teach otherwise, what's written in the Torah, he will teach differently to people, he should be cursed by God. Now, between you and I, do you know one Christian today in the world that observed the Sabbath in the right way, or put the tefillin on, or does the circumcision in the 8th day, or bake matzahs for Passover, or eat kosher, or do not mix meat and dairy when they like cheeseburgers and stuff like that, or do not eat pork, or do not eat shrimps? Do you know any Christian that sit in a sukkah and celebrate other Jewish holidays? To the best of my knowledge, there's not one Christian like this in the whole world.
They're all fake.
How is it possible?
I thought they're not supposed to. A Gentile's not supposed to circumcise on the 8th day or keep kosher or observe the Sabbath.
Absolutely. This is according
only follow
to
the
Torah.
7 laws.
According to the Torah, the Sabbath was given only to the Jewish people and not to the rest of the nations. Therefore, the rest of the nations, although they can fulfill other commandments, but when it comes to the Sabbath, they're not allowed to observe it. But
Hey, Rabbi, did you
according,
see that Charlie Kirk was writing a book about Gentiles to observe the Sabbath?
I did, and if you've listened to my lecture about Charlie Kirk, I actually brought it there in a lecture.
Uh-huh.
And I was asking the audience, what happened if you have a Christian that worship JC, which is against the Torah, but at the same time is a decent person, is pro-Israel, is not an anti-Semite, he has values, he's against abomination, he wants to promote the right morality in the world. So it's a contradiction of righteous and someone who also worship a man. He worship a man. So someone like that now all of a sudden decide to teach the Christians that have to keep the Sabbath, which is wrong. They're not allowed to observe the Sabbath. But you see, this is what happened to Gentiles that are not educated in Torah. You see, to be educated in Torah, it takes 7 years of learning from morning to night. The biggest rabbis in the world are not rabbis that learn 10, 20, or 30 years and they become the biggest in the world. It's a process that takes 70, 80, 90, 100 years until they get to where they are. It's an ocean of knowledge. It's so much to know. If you know that in Judaism you have tens of thousands of books and they're very thick and they're full of knowledge and full of information, and it's beyond any understanding. So to just come and hear on the internet, Charlie Kirk heard that the rabbi speaking about the importance of the Sabbath, that's only to Jewish people. It's nothing to do with the Gentiles. The Gentiles have to keep the 7 laws of Noah. That's what everybody had to keep. After the flood, God came to Noah and he gave him the 7 laws, which actually 6 of them was already given to Adam. 7 laws of Gentiles. The Jews also had to keep that because there was no Judaism yet. Remember, the 7 laws of Noah was all over the world for 900 years, from the time of Noah until the Jews received the Torah in Mount Sinai. For 900 years, all the people in the world had to keep the 7 laws. Once the Jews received the Torah in a public event in front of millions of people that heard Moses and God speaking, from that moment on, God separated us from all the nation and gave us the title, the chosen people, and he called himself the God of Israel. And he told us you're not allowed to marry any other nation. You have to isolate yourself from the culture of the nation. You are a special kingdom of high priest, and you have to be holy because I'm holy. I made a covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that I will never replace their children with any other nation. So therefore, what happened over here, as you can see, that when the Jews received the Torah, that's one of the covenant is giving them the Sabbath. Another covenant was circumcision of every boy on the 8th day. And the third covenant is to putting the tefillin towards the heart and putting it on the brain. The heart is the evil inclination. The brain is where the soul is. So we dedicate the heart and the soul to God every day when we start the day. Those are the 3 covenants. Those covenants were given to the Jewish people. Now, so Charlie Kirk, I'm sure he had good intention. But when you have ignorance, you can create a disaster. Sometimes if I want to be a doctor, I have some knowledge
Hold
about
on, Rabbi.
medicine.
Can I interrupt real quick? I have a question before we veer too far away
Sure.
from it. So
Sure.
forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe I've seen you and others say that for a Gentile to study the Torah, it's death penalty.
Oh, depend. So that's one more thing that God said, that it was given only to the Jewish people. But we're not talking about general Torah. I have hundreds of thousands of Gentiles
You mean
listening to my
Kabbalah?
lecture.
Kabbalah is not for the Gentiles.
Okay, so there are specific Torah for Jews only. The general Torah about being ethical and not to be a thief and not to be an idol worshiper, not to be a murderer, how the world was created and the history of the world, everyone is allowed to learn, Jews and Gentiles. But then comes the specific laws of the Sabbath, the specific laws of Passover, the specific law of a woman that she goes into the natural pool after her period, and all these specific laws that were given only to the Jewish people was not given to any other nation. Now,
Beautiful.
so it's something that happened one time. I went to give a lecture in Brooklyn 28 years ago, and when I got there, I saw a black woman, and she speaks with American accent. I asked the organizer of the lecture, is she Jewish? He told me no, but she knows the Torah better than all the Israelis in a room. She learns nonstop Torah. I said to him, listen, it's a rule in the Torah. I'm going to teach specific laws that are made for Jews only. I think maybe I should at least give her the heads up. I don't want to be responsible if something happened to her. So I told her, you know, I mean, nothing personal, but it's written in a Torah that we're not supposed to teach specific laws that were given to the nation of Israel to the rest of the world. So I don't think it's a good idea that you should stay tonight. I mean, general things that we teach, you can listen, it's no problem. But tonight is a specific class that made only for Jews. So she started to laugh. She said, Rabbi, I don't think there's anything you're going to say that I didn't hear before. I love the Jewish people. I want to convert to Judaism. Believe me, it's good for me as well. I said, okay, as long as I'm clean, I told you. The next day, the guy calls me up. Unbelievable. It's a true story that happened. He told me, she's a young woman. She wasn't even 30 years old. The guy called me up the next day, said she had a stroke. She became paralyzed. Very, very sad story. You see, so, you know, I felt very bad that I didn't insist.
This is getting dark, guys. I gotta say, like, let's
Can
get back to
I get another
about
question? I
Jesus.
want to bring it back to the Jesus stuff. I
Yeah.
have an important
Adam,
question
let's
I want to
hear it.
ask. Okay, so in Sefer Total Yeshu, it says that there's followers of Jesus, and then Cephas, Peter, and then also somebody else they view as Paul took this religion, changed it, and then took it to the Gentiles, so it wouldn't be a threat in Judaism. Do you think that's the real origin story of Christianity?
That's also nonsense, because no Jew is permitted to change one letter of the Torah, and even JC himself in Matthew 5, verse 17 to 19, which I just mentioned before, warned his followers that anyone who will change any of the commandments of the Torah and will teach the public otherwise than what God said will be cursed by God. So if my rabbi is teaching me from the Torah that if I will do XYZ, I'm subject to a death penalty and a curse from God, how will I dare to go in his face and teach it to other people just when he warned me in the book, in the name of God, never to dare to do it? By the way, you should know that Jews that copy the Torah manually, remember, until 500 years ago, there was no printing. So the Torah was given to the Jewish people approximately 3,300 years ago. That means for 2,800 years, the Jews were copying the Torah manually. They took a feather, dipped it in the ink, 304,805 letters. That's the longest text, much longer than the Quran, much longer than the New Testament. Jews were copied the Torah, and I want you to remember that Jews were scattered all over the world as a punishment for their sins after the destruction of the temple. They went to Babylon and then to Europe, and they were all over the world, and they still copied the Torah to the exact original text until today. Any synagogue in the world that you're going to go, you have the same Torah. But Christians that nobody chased them, nobody wanted to kill them. They copied the New Testament with more than 200,000 mistakes. There are more than 200,000 different texts to the New Testament. There are hundreds of different Quran that were copied manually from the original one in the time of Muhammad. There are so many different ones that right away it's split to many, many different directions. But in the Torah, God warned the Jews that when they copy the Torah, to make sure they never make any mistake. They have to check it again and again and again and again, because when you have 100,000 letters and you copy from another book, letter by letter, with writing it manually, it's impossible not to make at least one mistake, right? From 100,000 letters, you have to make one mistake. So every person who copy make one mistake. Therefore, if I'm the original one, and you, Adam, you copy from my original book, and you made only one letter mistake, and Mr. Green copy his version, and he made a mistake in a different words. We already have 3 versions. Now 2 people come to copy from you, Adam, and from his Torah, and they made only one mistake. So everyone who copy will go on a minimum. They made one mistake only. That's why after hundreds of years, you have 200,000 different texts. And that's what I said to the priest in that debate. I say to him, even Christianity was divine. Even if it was, you don't know which version is divine. It's gone. It got
Interesting.
mixed with 200,000 human errors. And
Or
you
whose
know,
interpretation too. It's open to a lot of interpretation. Okay, can
that's
I ask you
another
another
issue.
question, please, Rabbi?
Yeah,
Yes.
Adam, go for it. Hit it.
Okay, so I've seen lots of rabbis talk about what Maimonides wrote about Jesus, and he kind of described Jesus as doing God's will to turn the nations from their pagan idol worship closer, like preparing them to believe in Messiah and the God of Israel. Is that why you say, how can you not be happy with 2 billion goyim bowing down to one Jew tonight?
In America, there used to be a very, very big holy rabbi. His name was Rabbi Avigdor Miller. And they asked him that question: what's better, that the United States will be ruled by atheists that don't care about ethic, morality? They married men with men, they can marry people with animals, women with women. They make the world like in San Francisco, people walk naked on the street. They don't want to believe in God. They don't care about values. They don't care about family values, about children and respect their parents. What's better, to have this kind of people to run America, or to have Christians, although they follow the wrong God and they idolize a man, but they copy a lot of the good things from the Torah, like respecting the parents, about marriage, about faithfulness, about charity, about helping the orphans and the widows, and making a system with a police and a court, and obey the divine rules in a state of in United States. So he said we have to thank God that the Christians ruling America, I mean, that was 40, 50 years ago. Today, unfortunately, it's a different America, but we're talking about 50 years ago. We have to thank God that the Christians run America, because at least they teach values and they teach about marriage, and they're against homosexuality and they're against a lot of things that God hates very much. At least they spread many of the good things to the world. What would be better? That the Gentiles would not have any direction, they would not know anything from God, and they would live like people live in a forest, in a zoos, with no religion, with no nothing. So at least one very good thing came from the Christians, that they taught 2 billion people to follow the creator of the world. The problem is that in the Torah, there is no distinction between if you are a good person or if you're a bad person. Once you're an idol worshiper, whether you are a Jew, whether you are a Gentile, unfortunately, that's a death penalty. Again, there's no execution for 2,000 years. I don't want anyone to mislead the public again that I'm calling for death or anything like that. The exact opposite. No one is allowed to use violence against any sinner, against any criminal. Everything has to go to the court, and the court that was responsible for execution is no longer in effect for 2,000 years. Therefore, there's no execution for murderers or for gays.
But when Moshiach comes, though, if somebody is an atheist or they're a pagan, then would it be death penalty?
No, there
Like in the
won't be
world
death
to come?
penalty we will never have death penalty by people for very simple reason. According to all the prophets, they all spoke about the end of days, which I just made a film now. I just made a brand new film, The End of Days, which I recommend very much to watch. I gather all the prophecies for Jews and for Gentiles. And according to the prophecies, when God will send the Messiah, the purpose will be to purify the world from all evilness, from all the murderers and from the thieves and from the idol worshippers and from the gays and from all the people who went against the divine rules. Jews and Gentiles, no discrimination. There will be righteous Jews and righteous Gentiles that will survive the final war, which is Gog and Magog, which we are very close to, as you can see what's happening now in the world. It will be a 12 minutes war, and 2/3 of the people will be wiped out from the face of the earth in minutes. You can read Zechariah 14 and describe how it's going to be. Now, I want to remind you, when Zechariah wrote this prophecy 2,400 years ago, they didn't even have guns. There was no bullets, no conventional weapon. Needless to say, no biological weapon and no nuclear weapon. So there was bow and arrow and sword, and that's how people used to fight. And to write such a prophecy, if it's not from God, you have to be super, super delusional to write such a thing in a book 2,400 years ago, that the final war will take minutes. 2/3 of the people will be wiped out, and the third that will remain, Jews and Gentiles, will have a grace period of time that God would give them enough time to repent, to clean and to fix their crooked way. Why? The people that will remain, that means they also have a lot of good things about them. So therefore, there will be a lot of Gentiles that will remain, but there will be so many Jews who will not remain. So therefore, there's no discrimination. If a person is a righteous Gentile, when he die now, even without Messiah, he goes to heaven. The Gentiles don't have to convert to Judaism to go to heaven. We actually always tell them, don't convert to Judaism. Stay a righteous Gentile.
Yeah,
Don't
please
be a
don't
murderer.
convert.
Don't be a thief. Don't be an idol worshiper. Believe in one God and love him. Obey the law of the land. Don't eat animals unless they dead first. Not like when they move in a plate, like in China, they eat animals that are still alive. And once you do that, and no sex crimes with the 7 relatives include homosexuality that is forbidden for Gentiles. If a Gentile is not an homosexual, is living with a woman, and they're faithful to each other, and they have kids, and they live modest life, and he's not a murderer, he's not an idol worshiper, he's not a thief, he's not eating animals unless they dead first, he believes in one God, he's going to heaven. Assuming he's not a Nazi, not a racist, doesn't want people to die because of the color of the skin or because of their nationality. So there are so many Gentiles that are wonderful people. They don't follow any specific religion. They keep the 7 laws. They love God. They have nothing against the Jewish people or any other ethnics. Those kind of Gentiles will remain. Now, and if they die today, they go to heaven. They don't have to be Jewish. You see, Christians and Muslims, they force you to become in their religion in order for you to see the Messiah and to have salvation, like Muslims.
But we have to be Noahides, though. You guys are the same thing. We just have to be Noahides.
Noahides, that's it. And you know how many thousands of Christians I turned them into Noahides once they realized that Christianity is not.
Is it easier to get an atheist to be a Noahide or a Christian to be a
Great
Noahide?
question.
Who's closer to Noahides?
It's a good question, brilliant.
And to add to
actually.
that question, I wanted to ask the what is more in line with the Torah, paganism or Christianity?
Okay, so good. Let me first answer his question. When you have an atheist and you ask the atheist, here, see my glasses? I walked in the street and there was an explosion in a garbage can. Pieces started to fly. Glass appeared out of nowhere. They came into the frame. Look at this. The screws came right into place. The color somehow came. Everything created the glasses. And now I have a perfect glasses and I can see you clearly. So he will immediately say that I'm not normal and I have to be, I need a psychiatric evaluation, right? Because there's not one person in the world that believes that such glasses can be made by itself, or a cup, or a computer, or a brain of a human being with 10 trillion connection, which they have wires that are thinner by 1,000 times than one hair. If you take one hair out of your head, one hair, it's 1,000 wires of the brain combined. That's how thin the wires in the brain. 80% of the brain are gel and liquid. And the brain is a supercomputer, better than all computers you can combine in the world combined, better than all the telecommunications in the world. That's a brain of one human being, multiplied by 8 billion and all the 2 million species of animals and the birds and the fish. Every one of them have brains and wires and nerve system. All of that, I don't believe there's one person in the world that can claim that it was made by itself. It has to be a creator that
I
designed the
do.
world.
I think it's all made. All life is from evolution. Do you think it's better if the Goyim believe in evolution or Genesis?
Absolutely Genesis. And I tell you something, the word evolution means that species developed over the years. We not necessarily contradict each other. The world is evolving. The world is developing. Things are, one species mixed with another species and create something that didn't exist. but we still have to answer, even for those who believe that we came out of the monkeys, like the Darwin theory, by the way, which was contradicted
Like
completely.
Sneeko the monkey, right?
Like, Sneeko, and Sneeko now became Muslim, so he's not an atheist
No, he's a good
anymore.
Noahide. He loves the Torah. He thinks God gave you the Torah, and he wants to be Jewish. He's a wannabe Jew, right?
I promise you one thing. If I sit with Sneeko one-on-one without all the noise and the attention that he likes online, one-on-one for 3 hours, I promise you that after that, he will not waste another minute on the nonsense, on Islam, on Muhammad, and Occupy New York, and Israel, and Free Palestine, and the rest of their nonsense. 3 hours max.
Wallahi. Wallahi. Sneeko, go do it.
I sat with Alan Hevesi, which was the controller of New York State for many years, brilliant guy, one of the most brilliant people I debated, in my lecture by surprise. He came to one of my lectures in Great Neck. He asked me questions for 45 minutes. I realized that he's not just a politician and powerful person, that he's also very knowledgeable. After that, I say to him, where is all this knowledge came from? He said, I was a professor for history. Therefore, I had to learn a lot about the history of the world and teach it. So I asked him, he came to the lecture as an atheist. He's an atheist. I say to him, Mr. Hevesi, what do you have to say after 2 hours lecture? He said to me, I still have some doubts. I say to him, why don't we meet one-on-one, you and I'll clarify all your doubts. So make a long story short, 10 days later we met for 3 hours, and after 3 hours, and he attacked me with so many questions, all the most famous questions of the atheist, and the theory of evolution, and all the Big Bang theory, and all of that. And in the end, he got up, he's a tall man, and he said to me like this, I never believed in my life that religion can be proven scientifically. You left me no doubt. Now I know 100% that the Torah is the book of God. I asked him, what are you going to do about it now? You lived your entire life in a mistake. He was a Jew. He's a Jew. I said to him, so he said to me, well, I just found out now that I'm a lost case. I'm married to a non-Jewish woman. I just found out that my kids are not Jewish. And basically, I'm 68 years old. What would you like me to do in my age? To start from square one? I mean, I should have met you 30, 40 years ago. He was in the same class with President Kennedy, and he became, one of the most
Hold on, I gotta say, you're telling lots of, sorry to interrupt again, Rabbi. You're telling lots of stories. I feel like I'm sitting in yeshiva. How long are we going, by the way? Like, how much more time do we have? I'm getting
We're
anxious,
going
like
hard,
you're gonna
man.
say, oh, I gotta go. It's an hour. I gotta go.
No. I tell you what, we say 90 minutes, so we already
okay, so
have
another
half an hour.
Okay, let me. So evolution. So you don't believe in evolution. You believe in Genesis. What about all these goyim? I can't believe how stupid these goyim can be sometimes. That's a soundbite I have from you that I play on my show. But flat earthers, all these goyim believe the Bible talks about a firmament. The Bible says the earth is flat. This big flat earth guy, Dave Weiss, he's Jewish. What do you think about the flat earthers?
It's a lie. The Bible doesn't say the world is flat. In Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, this is what's written. It's 2,600 years ago. You know Isaiah, one of the greatest prophets. He lived 2,600 years ago. It's written clearly, Hayoshev al chug haaretz veyoshvea kachagavim. Translation, the one who supervised the round world, and all the creature on the world are tiny like grasshoppers in his eyes. So, as you can see, Rashi, that lived 950 years ago in France, one of the main commentators, he says, the world is round and God is supervising the earth. And also it's written in a Zohar, which was written 2,000 years ago, the world is turning around like a ball. There are people on top of the ball and there are people on the bottom of the ball. I suggest that everyone that believe what you just say should watch my film Torah and Science, 4 hours of proofs. One of them is to prove that we always knew that the world is round, and as Zohar said that there is a day in one side of the ball there is darkness in the other side of the ball. And there are people that living in the bottom of the ball, which means they already knew about the laws of gravity. You understand? And the people look differently in their image based on the climate where they live. There are 7 unbelievable discoveries in the Zohar from 2,000 years ago. So to say that the Judaism believe that the world is flat is total nonsense. You understand? I don't know who said such claim, but it's
Lots
incorrect.
of people, way too many. Okay, another question. This is about like conspiracies online. You're seeing lots of people say, even the vice president said the UFOs, the government's all talking about that the UFOs are really demons and they're fallen angels. And Candace Owens and Tucker say the book of Enoch is real and they're Nephilim really run the world and are eating babies and stuff. Do you agree with that? Are UFOs demons?
You still take these people serious?
No, I don't. I don't.
All right, so you're a clever guy. You're not gonna. It's an insult to our intelligence to even repeat what they believe and what they claim. That's total nonsense. Okay, now if your question is, do we have UFOs? The answer is there's never been an evidence to any UFO besides stories and more stories and more stories. When they will bring one UFO and will say, "Hi, nice to meet you," and he will answer and he will explain that he came from a different star, then the argument will be over. So there are creatures that live out of space in different galaxies, and the point is like this. Maybe there are other creatures that God made in different galaxies and different stars. We do not know it. The Torah doesn't discuss that. The Torah, there's nowhere in the Torah or in the Talmud that describe creatures that living in different planets. For them to travel to us will be millions of years of light. You know how huge is the creation? For them to arrive to us, it will be, the world here will be over until they will arrive to us. So technically, it cannot happen. Therefore, why should we waste time in fairy tales and fake beliefs and all kinds of conspiracy theory, which can never be proven? Let's focus on things that, first of all, are relevant to our life, to our better future, and to the next world to come. That's why I made my film, Torah and Science, which is a must-watch. And
I'm going to watch that on my stream. I'll go through that on my stream. That sounds like great content. I saw a lot of your new End Times documentary as well.
You bless me after you watch it for the rest of your life. And also I made a film, The Purpose of Life. And I have a film, Life After Death, which leaves zero doubt that the day we die, that's where the real life begins. And I bring an unbelievable amount of evidence. And remember, as you know me by now, because you watch a lot of my clips, I do not speak based on faith and belief. Because in the Torah, God never referred to the Jewish people, you have to believe in me. What he said to the Jews, you have to know I'm your God. You should know your God. The whole world should know I'm God. It's all speaking about knowledge. Knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. Now, with the 5 senses that he created us with, we cannot prove that he exists. We cannot see him. We cannot smell him. We cannot taste him. We cannot hear him, and we cannot touch him. So we have 5 senses that we operate in our life with those 5 senses. And God say to us, you must know I'm your God. I'm the God that took you out of Egypt. I'm the God that gave you the Torah. I'm the God that will take you to the promised land. I'm the God that will throw the 7 nations from the promised land and give it to you. All of that is in a language of knowledge, but not only the Jews, that the nations should also know I'm God. Now, the question that we have to ask...
Didn't Jesus help do that?
The exact opposite. How did
he didn't help the Gentiles learn about the Torah and about what prophecies are and want to believe in the covenants?
You're contradicting yourself. Half an hour ago, you say you have proof he didn't exist. Now you come and say that he taught the
story, the people that invented him, the story ended up turning the Gentiles away from the pagan idols.
According to the story, he was teaching his followers religion. I give you an example. One time, his followers wanted to cut wheat on the Sabbath. So he said to them, you should go and cut the wheat. But one of the students asked him, this is from the New Testament, how can we cut wheat on Shabbat? It's against the 39 restriction of the Sabbath. It's desecrating the Sabbath is a death penalty. So he say, I am the master of the Sabbath. Do you know one rabbi in history that will come and say to the people, to his follower, I allow you to desecrate Shabbat, which is a death penalty and a permanent cut for the soul in the afterlife? Or in one place in the New Testament, he said to his followers, don't believe in me because I perform miracles. A lot of people can perform miracles. And in another place, he said, how don't you believe in me? You just saw the miracles I performed. So you make up your mind. In the Torah, it's described that Moses came to Pharaoh and threw his cane, and all the people of Pharaoh, they threw their canes, and all their canes turns into snakes. They had the black magic to be able to do such a magic. So the Torah already is teaching us that if a person perform magic, is not divine and is not nothing. Is not holy, is not righteous. Performing magic, it's not an indication of anything. So therefore, when JC come, according to the New Testament, to his followers and tell them, why don't you follow me and believe in me? Don't you see I perform miracles? First, you contradict yourself, because in another place you say, don't believe in me because I perform miracles. And the second problem is you contradict the Torah. The Torah say that performing miracles is nothing. That's what God said. Not only God said to the Jews, if I will send you a false prophet to deceive you and mislead you, if he will tell you anything against the laws of the Torah, not only you're not allowed to follow him, you must execute him and clean the evil from the face of the earth. That's
That's
a verse
Deuteronomy
in
13, right? I think Todoth Yeshu calls Jesus that figure in Deuteronomy 13. So
exactly. So
I'm curious, is there any part of you that's worried that once you all make Aliyah and then you rebuild the temple and you anoint a Moshiach, that are you worried at all? Like 1 to 100, how worried are you that then the Christian prophecies will be true and Jesus will return and cast you in the lake of fire if you don't believe in him?
not only I'm not worried, I would put everything I have and everything I own, everything, to promise you 100% that there is zero chance that something like this will happen, because according to their story, it can never be the Messiah. According to their story. Now we go to your book, which you prove, I have to read your book, which you prove in your book that didn't even exist, then it's needless to say that there's nothing to be worried about. Exactly. But even if it did exist, according to
plug.
the story, it can never be the Messiah. So why should I be worried? Just
Well,
like
he'll
I'm not
come and fulfill
worried.
the rest of the prophecies when he comes back. That's what they say. So what gives you so much confidence that you're a prophet? Like you're trusting the plan. You believe the whole world, all the nations are going to turn against Israel. There's going to be Gog and Magog. But then you have
Yes.
so much faith that God is going to, Hashem, sorry, is going to intervene and protect you and conquer all the enemies. Do you have confidence in that because your enemies are Esau and Ishmael?
No, first of all, everything I teach, as you know, it's all what's written. I don't come up with my own ideas. I think I'm not a prophet. I cannot foresee into the future. I only teach what's written. Now, the good news is that Christians and Muslims accepted all the Jewish prophets. It makes my job a lot easier. If they have a little integrity and honesty, together we will read the text in Hebrew, in English, in Arabic, in any language they choose, and we will see that the God told the Jews that the Messiah would come, even though he will be delayed a lot. Don't lose hope. He will appear. He will come to Zion, meaning Jerusalem. He will arrive to the place, and there will be a final war, and all of those prophets. That's why I made my film now, End of Days. Now, again, the Messiah is not against the Gentiles. Many millions of Gentiles will live to see his glory and the rebuild of the third temple. I want to remind you that the first two temples, we were praying for the Gentiles all the time. In the Holocaust of Sukkot, they sacrificed 70 cows, one for each nation. Well, there are 70 main nations, which split too many. Like Arabs, you have like 50 different nations, but they're all children of Ishmael, right? Esav, there are so many nations that came out of Esav, right? So we used to sacrifice for the Gentiles. The Gemara said, the Talmud say, if the Goyim would know that when they destroyed the temple, they actually shoot themselves in their leg. because the peace and prosperity and success and all the good things that came to them was thanks to those sacrifices and the prayers that we made for all the nations. And they came and destroyed the house of God. Now, when their third temple will be rebuilt, it won't be only for Jews. It will be for righteous Gentiles. King Solomon, when built the first temple, it's written over there in the Tanakh, Ki beti bet tfilah yikare lekol ha'amim. My house is a house of prayers and worship for all the nations. Not just, and the Talmud discussed that if a Gentile wants to bring a sacrifice as a gratitude to God, we'll accept it from him.
The ultimate goal in Judaism, is all the goyim worshiping Hashem with the Jews, in serving in Esau, serving Jacob as Noahides.
Absolutely, that's the goal. That's the purpose. That all Gentiles will be righteous, would live with us in peace. We will show them the divine light, what God really wants everybody to do. And this, we will reach that level after what's coming soon in the world, as you can see with Iran and all the Emirates and all the world and the Europe and Russia and Ukraine. Everyone is against everyone. By the way, you should know one thing. People ask me about all these Nazi anti-Semites, neo-Nazis online. First of all, a lot of them is not because they're evil. They just are ignorant. For instance, this Fluentes, I have a personal feeling that if I sit with him 2 hours, it will become our best friend.
Did you hear what he said the other day? Did you hear what he said about you?
I don't follow him. I mean, sometimes people send me a clip. What did he say?
Please, Rabbi Mizrachi, help me destroy the Gentiles or something like that.
Yeah, that's nonsense. We don't want to destroy it. If I kill a Gentile, I'm a murderer. It's no permission. It's in the 10 Commandments. You should not kill. So it's nonsense.
Well, maybe crush. Hashem will crush, like you say. The anti-Semitism will rise in Edom. The Jews will flee to Israel, and then Hashem will crush America. So Edom is Europeans. Oh, I gotta say thank you. You said that Japheth, the Europeans, have all the beauty. I appreciate that. I thought that was very nice of you to say that.
Rabbi,
so if you're the chosen people, how
you are the proof that I'm right.
All the beauty. That's the question.
This guy's like 6'7" too, with like a perfect physique. It's ridiculous.
Look, the Europeans, they got the beauty. The children of Cham, they all went to Africa. And the children of Yefet, they went to Europe, and then United States came out of Europe. Dutch, Germans, Irish, British, they all came from Europe to America, and they created United States. As you can see, there's all kinds of Gentiles living in America. Some are Germans, some are Dutch, some are Irish, some are Italians, all European people. And also from Africa, many people came here in the time of slavery, and later they were released. So it's a combination of many, many different Gentiles who are the children of Yefet, the children of Ham, and the children of Sem. When someone hates a Jew, they call him anti-Semite. Why? Because we, the Jews, are the children of Sem, which from Sem came, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and then we got the Torah and all the story. So first of all, you should know that if you watch my film, The End of Days, it will explain to every Jew and every Gentile what's coming soon. All the prophecies, what's happened. Every one of us, you, me, him, other Gentiles that listens to me right now, they all have to repent according to their obligation. For you, it's very easy. All you have to do, God, I thank you very much for having life. Thank you for those who have children, for those who have a wife or whatever, or health. I thank you for everything I have. I believe only in you. I don't believe in anybody else but you. I'm not a racist. I don't want to kill anyone. I don't want to hate anyone. I just don't want to murder. I don't want to steal. I don't want to kill animals. I don't want to eat animals unless they're dead first. All these things that I mentioned. I want to be a decent Gentile. And that's it. And you have nothing to worry about. Once you reach this level, you are more than fine. The Jews have a much bigger problem, because those who are secular and those who fight the religion and those who spread heresy, and among them some fake rabbis that are online today that spread heresy, and they mislead people with their nonsense, right? So those
like who? Who are you talking about?
All right, he asked. I was going to ask, but I didn't have to. The Gentile asked.
I tell you what, if you want, I'll email you my blacklist. There are 15 of them. I'll email you my blacklist, and you'll know who to be careful for.
Lashon hara lo
Hey,
medaber
some of
alai.
these rabbis, I don't know if they're reform or not. They're attacking you. They're denouncing you. But I don't hear. I don't hear. They say you're bad, but they don't say that you're wrong. I haven't seen them say that you're wrong. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, they get angry that I say the truth. I say, I don't
Yeah,
understand.
you're
God
just more
gets.
honest and saying the truth. That's why the internet loves you. I
I
think.
don't understand. I teach what's written in the Torah. I teach it. God put it in the Torah. The Torah is being taught to kids 5 years old already in yeshiva, and they all learn it, and it's written over there. And I speak about it publicly because that's what God wants. No, they want to be politically correct. Don't speak about this and don't speak about that. You know, if God didn't want the whole world to know about it, why did he write it in a document that was translated right away to 70 languages? The Torah was translated immediately to almost all languages in the world. Everybody knew about the Torah. When Joshua sent spies to Israel before they occupied the land of Canaan, Rachav, she hid the spies, as you know the story in the book of Joshua, and they told them, we all know what your God did to you in Egypt, how he took you out of Egypt, how he defeated the evil Egyptians. So the whole world knew about the exodus of Egypt and the miracles and everything. So the Torah was a public document all over the world. Everybody knew about it. In the Talmud, it described that the rabbis had debate with the Romans in the time of the Greeks, in the time of the Babylonians. This is nothing new under the sun. In the time of Maimonides and the Ramban, they already had famous debates, you know, with all kinds of people, and the Kuzari, and 800 years ago and 900 years ago. So I'm only doing something that is being done nonstop. But today the world became so fake and so politically correct, and people don't really care anymore about the divine truth. They only care what's going to bring them rating and donations and money, and no one would condemn them. You have to be very strong. Listen, I take a lot of fire for speaking the truth of God word by word, reading it, quotations. I get
Hey,
attacked.
have you been religious your whole life?
No.
Were you raised
I
in
became
Judaism?
religious 33 years ago.
33
And
years ago.
in a
And what is
conversation,
your background too? I'm curious. Like,
I was
what
born in
country you're born? You have a little bit of an accent.
Yeah, I was born in Israel. My
Mhm.
father also was born in Israel, so we are already second generation in Israel.
What city?
And age 21, I came to United States, and 4 years later, after I got married, together with my wife, we became religious. How we became religious? After we got married in Tel Aviv, I have a rabbi, which happened to be also my cousin, that is one of the most brilliant people you'll ever meet in your life. And he's a real servant of God, 24/7, non-stop for decades. And he's so brilliant that he took someone like me that was not interested at all in religion. I looked at religious people like primitive. I have no idea what they're doing. Thank God I'm not like that. But in 2 hours conversation, he left me no choice. When I left the conversation, I say to myself, if he is right, then I will be destroyed one day. And he told me, you don't have to believe me, but go and prove that I'm wrong. How can you live all your life and take such a risk? And I can tell you just briefly, you know, I always tell my students, if I put 100 glasses of water and one of them has poison, and I mix it, I shovel that, everything, and you didn't drink for 3 days, you came from the desert, you're about to faint any minute, and I say to you, you're not going to die. You have 10 hours to walk, and you're going to get clean water. Or you can drink the water now. Who would drink from the water? Usually nobody agreed to drink. You would rather suffer 10 more hours until you get to safe water and get clean water. But I say to them, there is only 1% chance that the glass of water that you picked up has poison. It's 1 out of 100. It's only 1%. Why can't you gamble? Gamble. Take one glass and drink now. Why should you suffer 10 more hours? The answer is because you know there's a 1% chance that the water has poison, you're afraid to drink because you don't want to die age 20. You want to live to 90. Drinking right now, there is a 1% chance to die. And that's what I say to them. You cannot ignore the Torah unless you prove yourself 100% it's not the word of God, and you will never be able to do that. So as long as there is a chance that God gave it, like the Jews claim, in a public event, it went from father to son for 3,300 years, and it was all over the world, and everybody strictly follow it. So as long as there is a 5% chance that the Torah is the book of God, how can you ignore it? Because one day when you die, you're going to face reality, and it's going to be too late for you. That's why I make all these debates, and I made the films, Torah and Science. Every person that watches Torah and Science comes back to me, include priests, include Muslims, come back to me, an atheist, they come back to me and say, you shocked me. I never believed.
Hey, Rabbi, we only have a couple minutes left. I think you got to go in a few. I still want to ask you some details about Edom in the West.
Yes.
Maybe Adam, you can have him debate the historicity, the legitimacy of the Torah with me later, or maybe.
Well, actually, that was the question that I was
going
going to ask you, because the Rabbi Mizrachi kind of just threw it like, if you were
hold on.
1%.
We'll get back.
I was going to say, do you believe, Adam? Do you believe that the Torah is divine, and do you have a proof? Do you have that 100% proof you could give to Rabbi Mizrachi why you believe that?
I think it's a retelling of older religions, Canaanite, Sumerian, Zoroastrian, Greek, and that the Torah was actually compiled about around 300 BC, as we know it today, and it's much younger, and Exodus isn't real, and Israel Finkelstein. A lot of the top scholars in Israel are now saying that the Torah is not historical and way younger. I don't believe in Genesis, Adam and Eve. That's my position. We can debate that for 3 hours. Yeah, according to me.
Sure that I understood what you say. According to you, when?
Yeah, and maybe Rabbi Mizrachi could give us a little bit more time so we can handle it.
No, I didn't understand. When was the Torah written? According to you,
I think the Torah as we have it today is only around 300 BC. So is when it was put together.
He's saying 2,300 years.
2,300 years ago?
Yeah, 2,300.
So please explain to me.
Some of the other stories might have been a little bit older, a few hundred years older than that, but I don't think that the Torah goes back to Moses.
So please explain to me how King David and King Solomon, who lived 3,000 years ago, speak about the Torah, how all the prophets who were prior to that, like Isaiah 2,600 years ago, bring quotation from the Torah.
I don't think that was that old either. I think they're all much younger. Just like the Christians made up stories about 500 people seeing Jesus, like the Torah made up stories of millions of Jews seeing God and Moses on Mount Sinai. Adam, can you share my screen? Can you share my screen again so Mizrahi can see?
One second, before you share the screen, I just want to ask you one thing, okay? I mean,
and then I want to hear your response, Rabbi Mizrahi.
If you're a man of the truth, all I need from you is, but seriously, to watch my film Torah and Science and write comments, and then we go back. If you have anything to say against the film, then we should really address the film. And I believe, based on my 31 years of experience, it never happened before. Maybe it'll be the first one. That after you watch my film, Torah and Science, everything will be clear to you. You would actually laugh about what you just say. Remember my words. I'm not gonna make myself.
Okay. Well, I'll watch.
Adam does these things.
I'll watch it on stream.
Adam does these things on stream, so he'll take his whole entire kehillah with him. He'll.
Yeah. So
okay, share my screen. I got something else for.
I don't know if it'll work because the background is like kind of fuddy. I can't change.
At least for him to see it though.
I can't. The way that the logistics are set up, I can't share it. But I'll send him the picture.
Okay. Well, I made a meme of you with a big rabbi beard, and I was just wondering. A lot of people wonder, well, where's the rabbi beard? Like you're the goat rabbi. If you got to ascend your rabbi aura and do some beard maxing, you got to mog the other rabbis. You got to mog Rabbi Shmuly's little like.
I gotta tell you, you stole my beard. Look at you. You stole it.
I think every old picture or any sculpture of any rabbi, they always have some huge beard. So where's
the Rabbi Mizrachi? Why no beard?
Okay, so I explained to you something. First of all, you see, that's also ignorant. Why? Because there's no place in the Torah that it said that you must have a beard. The Torah just forbid to shave the beard with a razor. To the roots of the beard, to shave it with a razor. Therefore, if you want to
pluck your beard,
huh?
You pluck it like tweezers?
With a razor, you're not allowed, but if you can trim
Okay.
it with scissors or creams, whatever the thing is. Now, some people prefer to have long beard, some don't. I am, I try to find the right word in English. If I have, as soon as the beard begins to grow, right away, I have very oily hair, I'm beginning to get non-stop pimples, one after
Oh,
the other. Non-stop. I have to wash my hair twice a day. It's very oily, greasy. Therefore, for me to have a hair, this, it's called in the Torah
okay.
istenis.
That's a good answer.
Yeah,
I'm the other way. See, if I
that's
shave
why,
my beard, I'll get ingrown hairs. So
and
that's
not to
why
talk about that it's itching non-stop all day. I'm itching. That's
that
the
goes
reason.
away. The itch
Believe
goes
it or
away.
not, Rabbi, this was a big question of the Goyim. They really wanted to
Yeah.
know.
But there's no obligation in it. If there was an obligation in the Torah, that's it. You have to do it. But the Torah just did not say to destroy the roots of the beard, meaning with a razor. That's it.
Okay.
So in the old days, everyone had beards because that was the way of the world. Even Gentiles, they all had beards.
All right,
Everybody.
Rabbi,
You should
Adam
give the
Green
Goyim
has
what they want and grow a big beard.
Adam Green is a good friend of the show. You are his absolute favorite. His audience, their absolute favorite. I want to give it over
This
for
is
Adam.
our Super Bowl, Rabbi. We've
It
been
is
so
their
excited
Super.
all
They're
week
going
about this.
crazy right now in the comments. I've been reading the
The
comments.
real
Big
World
shout
Cup.
out to everybody in the comments, and I'm glad that this show really hit hard with all of you.
800
I want to
people
give
watching.
Adam. I want to give Adam the floor with you, Rabbi, to rapid fire all his questions. Go, because he's probably got so many. He really wants it. If you could stay just a little bit longer, so that Adam can
I
go
got like
head
one.
to head with it.
I'll be okay with one more good one that we didn't.
Adam,
iron out
be
all the way.
more Jewish than that, bro. Ask for more, and you'll
Okay.
probably get more.
Okay, maybe 2 or 3 more. We'll see.
Come
I'll check
on,
your
be
notes.
even more. Yeah, let's go. Let's
come
go.
on.
Ask the first
All right.
question.
Okay, this is about Esau and Edom. So
Yes.
you talk about the eagle in Obadiah. There's an eagle.
Yeah.
The Romans had an eagle. The Germans, the Russians, and now America. And Trump has a
And
lot of
now
eagles, right?
all of them
So-
have the symbol of eagle.
So if the eagle of Edom is going to be destroyed in the end times, is this before Moshiach comes, or does Moshiach destroy Edom? And what does that mean to destroy Edom? Does that mean America is going to collapse and no longer have a government, or the Catholic Church is going to fall, or the Goyim aren't going to believe in the Trinity? What is it that mean exactly?
According to the prophecies, the children of Esau and the children of Ishmael, meaning all Arabs and Muslims, all of them will go into a big war between them, and then they will stop the war, and they say, why we are fighting with each other? We have a mutual enemy, the people of Israel. And they all turn against Jerusalem, and they come to fight the final war against Israel. And after they'll do that, remember, it's not all the Gentiles. There will be a lot of righteous Gentiles who will not participate. They're against it. They don't want it. They are in a good place. They will be saved. They have nothing to worry about. Only the evil ones, the Nazis, and all these terrorists that come from Islam and wants to slaughter
So hold
children.
on. If I'm an atheist and I don't believe in the Bible, does that mean I'm evil? Does that mean I'm Amalek and I'm
Right now you have a very big problem, but I promise you, after you watch my film Torah and Science, you won't be an atheist. Maybe you'll join me proving to people that the Torah is divine 100%, and you'll be fine. We have to work on you to save you. We cannot let
this is my problem with Judaism. It's like I have to believe the Torah. I have to believe in the God that chose
you. Just have to believe in God.
and serve you. Otherwise, like I'm evil. That's the way. And the Christians do the same thing. You believe in Jesus, or you're a satanic, demonic antichrist.
No, the word evil is not the proper word. No, it's not. You have to understand. Denying the existence of the Creator that gives you oxygen and food and health and children and money and everything you have, denying that, it's a huge act of ungratefulness. But it's not just one time. It's every second of your life, 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So to begin with, this is something horrific. Whether it's a Jew, whether it's a Gentile, it's very big ungratefulness. Therefore, some people that you ask them, did the car was made by itself? No. The laptop was made by itself? No. The iPhone was made by itself? No. But the world was made by itself.
Those are all made by man. That's different than like the world. Like who made a rock?
No, but
You know,
this is
did
that's
Hashem
why I
like
made,
use some word magic and it just like materialized out of thin
that's
air, or
why
is it
I
just like
made
a
Torah
nat?
and Science. The first 10 minutes of Torah and Science is exactly this question.
Mm.
How do we know there is a creator? What's the purpose of creating people? Why did he put us in this world? How do we know that the Torah that we have is really his book? Maybe people made it up like you claim. How do we know there's life after death? How do we know that tens of thousands of religions and cults that came after the Torah was given to the Jews are all fake? Remember, this film was designed to the biggest skeptic and atheist. It's scientific proof to show that only the creator of the world was able to write such a book. Include the oral Torah, which are parts of the Talmud.
The
Also,
Muslims say the same thing. The Muslims and the Christians say the same thing. They go, you know, it's real because it fulfills all the prophecies. Or Muslims
no.
say, oh,
First of all,
the
there's not
Quran
one
is perfect and
prophecy.
it,
There's not
you
one
know.
prophecy, not one prophecy in the Quran, not one,
Mhm.
besides what Muhammad copied from the Jewish prophets. So that's not his prophecy. You and I can copy it also. It was already given. And there is not one prophecy in the New Testament. They only use the words of the Jewish prophets. There is no prophecies at all, not in Islam and not in Christianity. Actually, one of the first Pope, Constantine, around 1800 years ago, gambled and gave one prophecy, a man-made prophecy. It's not written in the New Testament, but that's what he said, that the Jews will never go back to the Holy Land after the second temple was destroyed. God had it with them, and he won't give them a fair chance. Therefore, they will never return to the promised land. When the Jews came back to Israel, in 1880, they started a massive immigration to Israel 150 years ago. They asked the Vatican, what do you have to say that so many Jews came back to their promised land and they built cities and they dried the swamps after 1950 years in exile? So the Vatican answered a very silly, stupid answer. What was the answer? The Vatican does not recognize the state of Israel. Who asked about the state of Israel? We can care less about the state now. We are asking now. Hundreds of thousands of Jews came back to Israel, and now there are millions of Jews living in Israel. According to the one time you try to predict the future, one time, and it turns to be wrong. Obviously, you can see. So there's no prophecies in Christianity, and there's no prophecies in Islam. Whatever they copy from the Jewish book doesn't count. Muhammad never gave one prophecy, and they all scream, Prophet Muhammad. Christians don't claim there are prophecies in Christianity. It wasn't meant to give, but the Torah is full of hundreds of prophecies. And you know what? The prophecies that the Torah gave, each one of them is against all odds. It's impossible that a person will imagine such thing even in those days. Like in a country from far, an empire from far that you don't recognize their language, they'll come all the way to Israel and they will destroy the temple and they will kill innocent women and children, and you won't recognize their language, and they will put you on boats and they will ship you to Egypt and they will sell you to be slaves in Egypt, and no Egyptian would be interested to buy you, and their symbol would be eagle. Who could have predicted such thing? It's all written in the Torah. The Torah spoke about the Holocaust that one day the Jews will have in Parashat Vayelech. The Torah have, besides all the prophecies of the Torah and the prophets that came after the Torah, the Jewish prophets, inside the Torah you have hidden codes, equal mathematical codes that God put inside the text to tell you about events that will happen in the future. For instance, there was one person in Israel named Yigal Amir. He murdered the prime minister of Israel, Yitzhak Rabin. Yitzhak Rabin was the famous prime minister. One time this guy came and shot him. If you enter their names into the program on a computer, codes in the Torah, the computer scanned the whole Torah to find those names in equal mathematical skip, hidden in a text. But the interesting part is that not only the Torah found Yitzhak Rabin and Yigal Amir in the same page, they have a mutual resh. There is a mutual letter between them. that 3,300 years before the assassination of the prime minister, it's hidden in the Torah. There will be a person named Yigal Amir that will murder Yitzhak Rabin, and their names crossed each other in the same page in the Torah. So the Torah discuss AIDS in Parashat Noach when it describes homosexuality.
Disease?
AIDS.
Have you heard of these before, Adam?
No,
Yeah.
the Yitzhak Rabin one I did, but not the AIDS one.
Yeah, the AIDS, it's appear in Parashat Noach when the people of that sodomized, in Israel.
It predicted Trump was Moshiach ben David, 424.
That's nonsense. His name in numeric value is 424, and the Messiah is also 424.
Who do you think is the Mashiach of this generation, Rabbi? Is it you or Adam King?
Neither one of us.
Let's hope the king of Edom. Do you think Trump is going to betray Israel?
Listen,
it's Shmuley. It's Shmuley Boteach. Hey, Rabbi, you know that the Christians always call me
He said
Jewish?
that's for sure not. He said that's
Jewish.
for sure not. He said
I say Jews were never chosen. Prophecies are fake, and Jesus is a Jewish myth. And then the Christians, these dumb goy, they call me Jewish all day. They lie and call me Jewish, and I'm not Jewish at all.
They do.
They call him Jesus isn't Jewish. Jesus is white and has blonde hair.
Green. There's a lot of green here where I live. A lot of people last name Green.
That's what they say. They call him Adam Greenberg on the internet, but he's like this 6'7" Viking Nordic guy. He literally, when Adam used to have this other look, he literally could have starred in any one of those Viking movies on Netflix.
I just want to conclude one thing, which is very important for me, because I hate when people deceive and modify my words. There's nowhere in my lectures, and you probably would testify for that I ever called for genocide of anybody. The opposite. I say we don't have the ability to execute anyone. It's all in the hand of God. For 2,000 years, there's no execution. I only teach according to the book of God what sins have the death penalty. When a Jew is an idol worshiper, death penalty. When a Gentile, death penalty. There's no discrimination. Any human being. But there's no death penalties anyway. I say that clearly. And also, there are Jews who desecrate the Sabbath. Is also the death penalty. And unfortunately, at least 70%
about the truth in the Trinity and Jesus being, JC being God, if Christians didn't believe in the Trinity, would they be Noahides? If they love Israel, they love Jews, they don't believe Jesus is God, are they Noahides?
Yes, there are Christians that don't believe that JC is the Son of God. They believe he's going to be the Messiah. Okay, so they have a human error. Religious Jews also make some mistakes in their understanding of the Torah. Making a mistake in understanding or arguing about the identity of the Messiah, that's no problem. Okay, so one day you'll find out you were wrong, but it doesn't make you a heretic. You can still be a righteous Gentile. So I know some Christians wrote to me over the years, many of them actually. I'm not one of those Christians who think that JC is God or Son of God. I don't believe in the Trinity. I just believe that he's the Messiah and one day he will come back to save the world and all of that. Okay, I said, if that's the case, there's also the Chabad movement that believe that Rabbi Schneerson, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, is also the Messiah. And doesn't, because they believe that the holy rabbi, the righteous rabbi will one day come and save the world, doesn't make them heretic or criminals. But to come and take a human being and say he's God, he runs the world, he takes our suffering, it's against the Torah. The Torah say every person is responsible for his own acts and sins. That's why the reward and punishment for the righteous and for the wicked is only based on their actions, not the actions of their parents and not the actions of anyone else. There's no such thing that I will take your suffering on myself, that instead of you getting what you deserve, I will get it instead of you. There's no such thing. It's against the 13th principle of the Torah. Therefore, the entire Christianity, that's why I tell people, don't argue with me. Just watch my debate, Christianity versus Judaism. Just put Rabbi Mizrachi, debate Christianity, it comes out. Listen, make notes. If you have more questions, same thing with Torah and science. Write to me, rabbimizrachi@gmail.com, and I will answer. I answer everybody. I try to answer everybody unless I find that they're not normal. But if you're normal and you ask these questions,
Am I normal?
You normal, yes.
So,
And the
Very
Rabbi,
questions
normal.
are also normal. But one thing I'm surprised. One thing I'm surprised. An intelligent guy, how can it be that you even think that such a brilliant world with so many people and animals and oxygen everywhere and such unbelievable trees and all of that was made randomly by some random explosion? Who one cell, do you know one cell in a DNA? It's more sophisticated than the entire New York City. One cell, microscopic cell, there is such plan in it that it have to be, excuse me, not to offend anyone, but super not normal to believe that such a cell was made by a random explosion. There's no such thing. We don't believe, like just like you don't believe that a computer can be made by an explosion, or a phone or a car. Therefore, the brain of a human being, that it's such a sophisticated, if you cut one wire from 10 trillion, the person is in coma. That's what happened to Ariel Sharon, the prime minister of Israel. One wire exploded in his brain from 10 trillion wires. One of them exploded and he became 7 years in coma. So to think that such a sophisticated brain, with 80% of that it's liquid, and such thin things, and blood goes into those veins, into these wires, to think that something like this can be done by some random explosion in millions of years, or that the giraffe will have such a long neck because millions of years the neck became longer and longer, it's nonsense. It's not even deserve a response. That's why I want every one of you to watch my film Torah and Science. After that, everything will be clear, and then we can have another show when now
exactly.
you already know that there is a God and you know that He gave us the Torah. Now you can ask me more specific questions
I
about
was just
We'll,
gonna
we'll, we'll
ask that.
debate
Adam,
evolution, I guess.
do you accept the challenge to watch Rabbi Mizrachi's videos and go for a
Yeah.
round two?
Yeah,
Okay, it's
yeah, we
been
can,
done. A
we
round
can do
two is
another stream
scheduled.
where we don't talk about Jesus, about JC and Hashem, and we talk about Torah and evolution. We can do that. But
Rabbi,
I'll
what
be in trouble
videos
if I
does
don't
he
ask this
watch
last
to?
question. My best
What
friend asked me
videos
to
does
ask
he
this
watch to
question.
merit round two, and then he'll ask that question?
Torah and
Yeah,
Science.
yeah.
That's it.
Torah and
I'll send
Science.
you a PDF of my book too. You can check that out and learn
I
about how
would love
Jesus
this. Send it to
is
me,
a myth.
Rabbi
Okay,
Mizrachi at
so one
gmail.com.
last question. It won't take too long. So we've heard a lot of people in America and in Israel, they say that we need to bomb Iran because they're a death cult. They believe in Islam and prophecies, and both Islam and Christianity are waiting for Jesus to come and like defeat like a Jewish antichrist figure. But how is what their beliefs any different from like what the rabbis in Israel believe about an end times war and a Moshiach?
First of all, Islam, whatever they believe, the Quran is not the book of God. So if you watch Torah and Science in part one of the film, I prove that they have human errors and they copy a lot of things from the Torah and they contradict things from the Torah. So it's not relevant what they think. It's all from what they made up. Same thing, the New Testament is not the book of God, so it's not relevant what they think. We only go by the Torah and the Jewish prophets. And in the Jewish prophecies, it says what will be in the end of days, but it does not discriminate Gentiles. It says righteous Jews and righteous Gentiles will have a happy end in this world and in the next world. Wicked Jews and wicked Gentiles will have a horrible end in this world and in the next world. So there's really no discrimination whatsoever. You have to fulfill your obligation in life. I have to fulfill mine. If we both be righteous, we will have great hand. And if not, we both going to suffer because of the consequences of our action. Now, in regards to Iran, Iran declares, they're not hiding it. Some countries, they hide their agenda. But Iran is very open. I give it to them. They're not hypocrite. They tell us in our face, to you, to me, you as an American, me as an American, as an Israeli, the state of Israel, that they want to have a bomb. They don't care that 100 million Iranians will die for that bomb. They don't care about their people. They killed 52,000 of them in 24 hours on the streets. They torture their own people. I get emails from Iranians all over the world in the time when they were shooting them. Thank you for speaking for our suffering and all of that. So the Iranian people are hostages of these ayatollahs. The Hamas is ruling their own people, the Arabs in Gaza, torturing them for decades. They execute people there in the middle of the street. They do not want to let go. Hezbollah kidnapped Lebanon. The people of Lebanon, the Christians, the Muslims of Lebanon, they want to have freedom. They don't let. All of that comes from Iran. Once you eliminate Iran, there's no more Hamas, no more jihad, no more Hezbollah, none of those terrorist organizations. You eliminate them. It will be a wonderful world. We don't want to live in a world that there is some Ayatollah crazy with such agenda and such a dream that to get a nuclear bomb and to kill millions of people. Do you have a doubt that if they have a nuclear bomb, they'll dump it in New York? There's no doubt about it.
Well, isn't that what Gog and Magog is? Persia and Russia versus America and Edom?
Okay, so God told us in the Torah, we have to make the best effort to do the right thing, to stay healthy, to stay safe. And then when there is a war, if someone come to kill you, you have to kill them first. That's what God said. Why can't I just sit home and say, God, I'm not doing anything. If someone will come to kill me, I'm going to come and say, be my guest. That's not what God said. Same thing, you have to work, you have to make a living, you have to feed your children. I can sit home and say, God, I'm in your hand. I don't want to work, I don't want to do anything. If you want me to live, I live. If you want me to die, I die. That's not the way of life. Jews and Gentiles have to do everything they can to protect themselves, to be decent people. And at the same time, if we have enemies, we have a mutual enemy here. Remember, they hate you as much as they hate me. They hate their own people. They hate the people of Iran. They hate everybody. And you think they love Arabs? Don't you see they're bombing Arab countries nonstop? They don't care. They shot a missile, it fell 5 steps from Al-Aqsa Mosque. They were trying to blow the mosque. That's when Tucker Carlson, the crook, took a clip of mine. Of course, he modified it and take one from here, one from there. That I'm hoping that the missile will fall on a mosque. By the way, 2 days later, it almost happened. Right after he aired that clip, it almost happened. The missile from Iran fell very close. You can check it on YouTube. Fell very close to the mosque. The people in the mosque, they felt the whole building shaking. They were trying to knock down the most important mosque in the world. They don't care about anything. They only want to kill hundreds of millions of people. So when Trump say we cannot let them have a nuclear bomb, believe me, he knows what he's talking about. He's not some liberal idiot that wants to help our enemies to gain power, that by then it will be too late. Look at North Korea. Nobody can do anything about them. If this lunatic from North Korea tomorrow will decide to take his bomb and dump it on Japan and kill 50 million people, then that's what will happen. There's nothing you can do right now. You cannot talk to him. You cannot threaten him. He is holding the whole world by their throat. Now, the Ayatollahs are a lot worse than him. He at least doesn't sponsor terrorism all over the world for decades. All the terrorism in the world, all the suffering, every time you get on a plane, every time there's attacks and bombs and women and children, it's all Iran and Qatar. Those are the two manufacturers of all the suffering in the world right now. So that's why it's a war for humanity. It's nothing to do only with Israel. It's any decent human being, Jews, Gentiles, Muslims as well. Everybody that wants to live, to raise children, to have a decent life has to oppose these monsters. Believe me, there are wars than the Nazis. You know why? I tell you what. If you come to Hitler or to Eichmann or to any one of those Nazis and you say to him, there are 2 buttons on the wall right now. If you hit the green button, no Jews will die. If you hit the red button, 100,000 Jews will die right away, but you're losing your arm. Eichmann, you can kill right now in 1 second, 100,000 Jews, women, children, anyone you want. 100,000 are waiting for the gas to be released. But once you hit the button, you lose your arm. Not one Nazi will agree. As much as they hated the Jews, they would not agree to lose their arm or their hand or anything in order to kill the Jews. They would not agree. But you come to a Hamas terrorist and you say to him, you can kill 100,000 Jews, but you're going to lose your arm, he's gonna laugh, this monster. He's gonna say to you, crazy? For one Jew, I'm willing to lose my arm. Forget about 100,000. But not only that, I want to bring my 9 children with me. That all 10 of us will die in order for us to kill one Jew. You understand? He's willing to die with his 9 children just to kill 1 or 2 or 5 Jews in a bus stop. And that's what's happened. The Nazis were not like that. The Nazis wanted to kill the Jews. They also wanted to get rid of blacks. They also wanted to kill gays. They had a list of people they wanted dead, handicaps. But they will never agree to jeopardize themselves even a bit to fulfill their agenda and plan. But those radical Muslims who kill, by the way, more Muslims than anybody in the world, most of their victims are Muslims. They want to kill more Jews and more Americans. But most of the murders that these terrorists do is against their own people. ISIS, killing only Arabs. Boko Haram, fighting Muslims, killing each other. Sunnis and Shiites, killing each other. Palestinian territory against Hamas, killing each other. Assad killed 500,000 Syrians, his own people. Iran killed their own people. The Muslims don't understand that these lunatics, this radical Islam is against themselves before anyone else. Every decent Arab who gets on a plane, they take him to investigation, they open his suitcase, they suspect he's a terrorist. If he gets on a bus, people get nervous. If he walks inside the plane, people get nervous. I hope he's not going to blow me up. The good Arabs that are not into terrorism, they just want to live peaceful life, they suffer just as much. Islam, this radical Islam is really against themselves. But they don't care. You go now to Gaza, for 2.5 years they live in tents with no sewer, no showers, no air condition, winter, summer, winter, summer. You ask every one of them, tell me, was it worth it for you October 7? Would you, if you can turn back the wheel and go to October 6, will you still come and shoot and rape 1,200 Israelis and kill them in one day? All of them answer yes. You can see a video on YouTube. One American guy went and asked women, children, teenagers, everybody. Yes, it was the happiest day of our life. 3 years they suffer hell. Who wants to live in a tent with kids, with no electric, with no shower? You can't even cook a normal meal. All of them answer yes. They're willing to go to any hell in this world just to kill few Jews.
All of them? You can't interview all of them.
I didn't say all of them, but I say there is a guy, American guy.
All that they interviewed. I hadn't seen that video.
He interviewed dozens of them. All of them say yes, absolutely. We're happy. We're very happy about it. They have tolerance.
Well, they like to be martyrs. The martyrdom is so popular in Islam. So,
by the way, that's also against God. To go and kill yourself in order for you to kill someone else, you are being judged not only as a murderer for killing him. If someone commits suicide, he's going to be judged as a murderer. We have no permission to murder ourselves. It's against the law of God. Therefore, in Judaism, you should know that when someone dies, we have a special prayer for them that we say for a year. It's called Kaddish. But someone that committed suicide, it's written in the Talmud and in the Jewish book of law that even Kaddish doesn't help them. Someone that murdered himself, if he murdered someone else and he died, you can say Kaddish for him. But if he murdered himself, he has no share to the world to come, and even the Kaddish won't help his soul. So therefore, to show you that this idea of blowing up yourself in order for you to kill other people, Jews or Americans or Sunnis or whatever the case may be, that's already comes from ignorance, that they don't know what God really loves and what he hates. In the 10 Commandments, it says you should not kill. No one is allowed to kill. They're not allowed to kill people. Doesn't matter, Jews or Gentiles. If a Jew comes and kills a Gentile, that's a murder. You're not allowed. If a Gentiles murder a Jew, it's a murder. It's against the 7 laws of Noah. So they come to their mosque and pray all day to God for one thing: help us to kill your children, the Jews. None of it makes sense. They're not even using their head. Use your head. See, I don't mind if a person doesn't believe the Torah is divine. I am the answer for him. That's why I made my films, to prove it. But to see everything and continue with the same nonsense, chaval, it's a shame.
Adam, what do you think about that? The big statements there.
Yeah, it was a lot of points. My question was more like, they're saying that they have apocalyptic prophecies of like somebody coming in wars, and like, but I just see the Christians believe the same thing, and the rabbis believe the same thing. So that's kind of a hypocritical accusation. But I your answer was pretty much they're acting on the prophecies differently than the rabbis and the Christians. That was kind of how he answered that. But
the prophecies were given to the Jewish people by Jewish prophets.
Mhm.
On top of it, the Gentiles that read it knows what's coming in the world. So the Gentile that is clever reads in the prophecies that he can be in a good side and get saved and be pro-Jewish, pro-Torah, pro-God, pro-decency, or he can be anti and against and to go and kill Jews. So if he will do the right thing, he will be saved and will be rewarded. If he'll do the wrong thing, he'll be punished. So therefore, those prophecies indirectly are referring also to the Gentiles, not only to the Jews, because the Bible is a public document and all the Gentiles can read it today in any language they choose. So when they come and say that in their religion, it says that it's good to go and to kill and to, that's nonsense. It doesn't come from the Torah. The Torah doesn't say that people run and kill people. The Messiah would come and purify the world from all the wicked people. Not me, not you. He's going to be the servant of God and he's going to give him instructions what to do. However, until it happens, we have to be worthy when the time he comes to survive, because the wicked people will not stay around. It will be, that's what the world will come to, the perfect status, like Adam before the sin. Just like Adam and Eve before the sin. The world will not
that
have
reminds me of a question I had. Hold on. Sorry, real quick, Rabbi. Were all
You got
animals
time, dude. You got time.
vegetarians before the fall? It's just a yes or no. Were animals vegetarian before the fall of Adam?
Animals, the people were vegetarians, not the animals. The people until Noah, they were vegetarians. After Noah, they got permitted to start killing animals, and eat them. And then when the Torah was given, the Torah told us how to slaughter the kosher animals only, the pure animals like sheep, cows, and etc., chickens, and to do it with a very sharp knife and to check the knife that the animals won't suffer. And there's no obligation to eat meat, but if you want to eat meat, you have to do it in such a way that the animal will not even suffer for 1 second. And the way to do it with the kosher animals is once they slaughter the front, there are 2 cords over here, you eliminate them, that's it. The nerve system does not work. You may see the cow still have reflex because that's a pulse that was sent by the brain before you slaughtered, but there is no suffering. Once you do that, there's no suffering. Any other way of killing animal, it's suffering. If you shoot an animal, if you electrocute an animal, if you stab an animal, if you throw an animal from a cliff, there is a few minutes of suffering. But the slaughtering with the sharp knife, before they even realize what happened, that eliminates the animal suffering. So if a person says, I don't want to eat meat, I don't like meat, no obligation to eat meat. But if he says, I don't want to eat meat because it's animal cruelty, this person is heretic. Because if the creator of the world gave us permission to kill animals and to eat them, but he told us how to do it, you are not better than God. If God say it's allowed and you come and say, no, I'm more merciful than God, I don't want to eat cows, because, by the way, that's also hypocrisy, because a lot of these people who don't want to eat animals, they wear leather jacket, they have leather couches, they have leather shoes. So there are a lot of animals were killed for all these leather furnitures that they buy. And on one hand, they don't want to eat because they have mercy on the animals, but on the other hand, they consume a lot of leather product,
They still
such
want
as
that bag.
bags, couches. That's baloney.
Rabbi, before, we were on a topic before the animal subject. I want to get back to it about the end times, because you didn't quite answer one thing that Adam said earlier. And I'll just summate it. What does happen to America in the redemption?
Okay, so like I said, so the children of Esav, which is all Europe, Russia, Ukraine, United States, everyone, the children of Esau. But remember, in the United States, a lot of the people are not children of Esau. The majority are, but not all. You have also a lot of children of Ishmael here. You have children of the Chinese, children of the Koreans. Not all of them came from Esau. So all the people that will run this country when the time comes, and they will make ceasefire with the children of Ishmael, and they go to attack Israel, it's written in a prophecy that the Jews would run to the desert, and it's going to be a disaster, and they will do horrible things. You can read Zechariah 14. Read Zechariah 14. It's word by word in English. But that's when God would come. In the middle of the actions, when the situation of the Jews looks like lost, and there's really almost no hope, that's when the salvation will begin, and God will take revenge against all the cruel Gentiles that tortured the Jews for more than 2,000 years, and they're going to get payback for all the anti-Semitism and racism and everything that they did, not just now, throughout the generation. But again, that's only the evil, the wicked, the anti-Semite, the Nazis, the terrorists, the Muslim terrorists, not regular Gentiles. Gentiles that are not they don't want to kill Jews. They don't want to destroy Israel. They want the Jews to live. They respect the Torah. Those Gentiles have nothing to be worried about.
So
not one righteous person will suffer. Remember this. Jews or Gentiles.
Despite some Americans disapproving of Israel and not supporting Israel, by the fact that America gave us Jews freedom of religion and allowed us to prosper here like we've never prospered before throughout any of our exiles, is that a sign that America is going to be blessed in this process?
First of all, America is already very blessed. The first people who started America, if you listen to one of my recent lectures, I gave names. Jews that funded America over in 250 years ago. They came to them, they helped to establish this country. The Jews taught and contributed to America more than any other ethnic. They contributed millions of doctors and engineers and lawyers and philosophers, and the history of the United States, you cannot detach the Jews from it. America would not be 1% of what they are without the chosen people and the brilliant people that ran the country. Amen. From 250 years ago until now. But not Amen. Only that, it's written in the Torah that every country that will host the Jews and treat them nice, because God promised Abraham, those who will bless your children and help them, they will be blessed by me. And those who will torture your children will be tortured by me. As Lindsey Graham, peace be on him, he used to say it in his speeches, and Father John Hagee from Texas, he always bring it in his speeches, and many other good Gentiles who are pro-Israel, they bring these words that God promised Abraham. They say, if you're a smart Gentile, you must support Israel. You must support the Jews, because if you go against the children of God, we only bring tragedy to ourselves. Now listen to this. The Jews lived in Babylon. Once the Babylonians destroyed the temple, there is no Babylonian empire. The Ahasuerus and Haman, they were in charge of the world. Haman wanted to kill all Jews, as you know the story of Purim and the scroll of Esther. There is nothing left from them. The Persian Empire of those days is gone. The Greeks, the Greek Empire, who occupied the whole world, and everyone was shaking from them. They started with the Jews. They came to Israel to torture the Jews. God wiped them out. The Romans, the biggest empire, the empire of the Romans, they occupied the whole world. They came and destroyed the second temple. God wiped them out. The Jews lived in Spain and Portugal, and they did the Spanish Inquisition, killing Jews, torturing them, forcing them to become Christians, taking their property and throwing them to exile. There is nothing left from the Spanish Empire. The Germans did the Holocaust. They were the biggest empire in the world. They started to kill Jews and steal their property. Nothing is left from the German Empire.
They're actually one of the biggest. Hold on, the German Empire, the German state of Germany is one of the largest economies in the world. Actually, still, we talked about that because we saw you say that. So, are you going to say this? Are rabbis going to say the same thing about America? Because the
Okay, so I
Talmud
was
says
just
that
getting to that.
the
I
two
was just
cities,
getting.
Rome and Jerusalem,
That was
cannot
my last.
coexist.
That was
Okay.
my next sentence. I was
Okay,
just
go ahead.
about to mention Russia and America. The Russians, the Jews live in Russia. Russia was a massive empire, just as big as the United States. And once they kicked the Jews out, the Jews went to Israel. Almost all Jews left Russia. Russia became just another country. They can't even win Ukraine 5 years of war. They're nothing special anymore. Now, United States
You
right
can't
now.
even beat Ukraine.
Most of the Jews in the world live in Israel, and second place is United States. There are approximately 6 million Jews here in America. There's much more than that, but they are assimilated. They don't even know they're Jewish. But 6 million, according to what they have statistically, are living here in America, which is the second largest community in the world. United States been very good to the Jews. They gave them freedom of religion. They were very decent. They were, they did not discriminate them. And United States grew to be the greatest country in the world. But now, as you can see in the Democratic Party, there's 103 very anti-Israel senators. They just voted to cut Israel out. They don't care about Israel. Let Israel get destroyed as far as they're concerned. 103 senators. It's
You
never
mean
happened
congressmen?
before. Congressmen.
They just voted to integrate our militaries.
They
America's very
voted to
pro-Israel.
stop helping Israel. To stop helping Israel. This is the beginning. The
They
Democratic
lost,
Party.
he said, but they still had 103 votes.
I know they lost, but I'm saying.
So you're saying America's going to turn against Israel at some point, and then we're going to be
just
destroyed.
a matter of time. Unfortunately, it's just a matter of time. But remember, one thing I want to declare, I want to make very clear: every bad prophecy that appears in a Torah, in a Tanakh, does not have to happen. Good prophecy must happen. But bad prophecy, if the people would take themselves serious and repent even a second before they repent, God will cancel the decrees. So therefore, if the people of United States would see that United States starting to torture the Jews, stealing their prophecy, their properties, kicking them out of America, making all kinds of anti-Semite laws, just like so many people, Tucker and all his groupies, that's starting to brainwash a lot of Americans to become Nazis. And there are more and more attacks against Jewish synagogues and against Jews in general. Once the American population would start fighting it and say, we don't want the Democratic Party to become Muslims, radical Muslims. We don't want Somalis to take over America. We don't want all these Nazis to take over America. Let's fight to give the Jews what they deserve, just like every other citizen. They maybe cancel the bad decree. But if they let it happen, it's inevitable. In the end, it will be very bad. So I hope, like you, Adam, and other people that listens to me, they can ask me any question they want. Where is your source? Where does it say? I'm open for questions, and I always have the answers. But you have to know, there is no decree that every American will torture Jews. There is a decree that all the nations will go against Israel. Yes, but this decree doesn't have to happen. It can be canceled or partially canceled. That doesn't mean, that's why everybody asks, why God punished the Egyptians? He already told Abraham that his children will be slaves in Egypt. So what do you want from the Egyptians? God punished the Jews by sending them to slavery in Egypt. The answer is because God did not say to each Egyptian, you have to go and torture my children. They chose to do it. As a country, there is a decree, but it doesn't mean Adam Green has to be one of the soldiers who put Jews in the gas chambers. The same thing, the Nazis didn't have an obligation to kill Jews. The Nazi government wanted to kill Jews, but Germans didn't have to join the army and kill Jews. They could just stay in their homes and hope that the Jews will be saved. Nobody told any individual to come and torture the Jews. Once they choose to do it, they will deal with the horrible consequences of their action. So therefore, now it's an opportunity for a lot of Gentiles that they can repent, include Nick Fuentes and Megan Kelly and Tucker and the rest of the anti-Semite people. They can repent.
Do you want to debate Nick Fuentes?
Yes, absolutely. We send him a message. Absolutely. We send Tucker. We send Nick Fuentes. We sent few other people.
What do
So
you
far,
think,
none
Adam? Do you think that they're gonna? What do you think Nick's gonna do? You think he's just gonna ignore it and pretend it's not? He's not being called out for it.
He doesn't. I don't think he likes to do theological debates. So maybe
It's
he'll
the
debate
goat
you on
rabbi.
something
He's
political.
gonna scoff away at the goat rabbi.
I don't know.
What kind of debates
Shmuley
he
tried
does
to
like?
debate him.
What kind of debates he does like? Did he have any debates with anyone?
He's had
Like
2
political.
debates with me.
Yeah, maybe he'll talk about like Zionist influence in America or something. I'm not sure. I have no idea.
Someone has told me, by the way, that now he became anti-Muslim. In the beginning, he was the
Yeah, him
Muslim.
and
like
Sneeko-
Yeah, he was
him and
cozying
Sneeko
up to the
broke
Muslims. Now he's turned against them a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
him and
going to tell
Sneeko
you you
broke up a
killed
little bit.
Jesus. He'll say you're the synagogue of Satan and you killed Jesus. Actually, he
we
might not say
addressed
the
that
synagogue of
nonsense.
Satan thing. Yeah,
He probably
We
wouldn't do
addressed
the
that.
synagogue of Satan thing. I don't see him being that extreme like that.
I saw
we
somebody
addressed-
said that and he said that was stupid.
Yeah,
I
I think we could save him. I think he's worthy. I
would-
think we could save him.
Adam, I want to tell you something. Look, there is so much hatred, not just toward Jews. Everybody hates everyone. If you really pay attention to what's going on today, everybody hates everyone. Republicans, Democrats, black, white, European, United States, Arab, Sunni, Shiites. Everybody hates everyone. In the end, unfortunately, almost everybody joined together with the hatred to the Jews for some reason, because it's also the hand of God. In the end, when God sent anti-Semites after us, what's the point of that? To make us repent. We're not perfect. No one is perfect. You understand? They blame us for things that they themselves do, but when we do it, it gets them angry. Okay, it's not relevant. They are sometimes right about what they claim, so we have to repent. If a Gentile comes to a Jew and say, you do this and this and that, and you know he's right, what is this, ego games? Of course, you tell him, you're right, we have to work on it and repent. You understand? I don't see what's the problem here. Yes.
Yeah,
if he's
Esau
right,
hates
right.
Jacob like a law of nature, and it's that divine persecution that stops you from assimilating so that you stay Jewish.
Absolutely. I once gave a ride to a rabbi 30 years ago on the way to Manhattan. I dropped him there, and on the way, I told him, look what's going on in the news. So much anti-Semitism. So many people don't even know Jews and never spoke to Jews in their life, and automatically. So he said to me, thank God for that. So I was young, not knowledgeable 30 years ago like I am today. And I was shocked. So what do you mean, thank God for that? It's good that so many people want us dead and they speak so bad and they make stories about us. He said to me, yes, if all the Gentiles will be nice to us, you would not have one Jew left. The Jews would assimilate with them, marry them, and disappear after a few generations. You won't have any Jews left. The fact that so many Jews are not marrying other nations because they're afraid if there will be an issue in the family, what can happen from the brothers of the girl and the father and all kinds of Nazis around. They're afraid what can happen. So they stay together. And that was the goal all along. It's in the Torah that Jews are not allowed to assimilate. By the way, in the United States, you used to have 13 million Jews officially. Now it's down to 6. Why? The Gentiles did not murder any Jews in America, to the best of my knowledge. There was no Holocaust here and no pogroms. So how the Jews came from 13 million to 6 million? The answer is intermarriage. They marry non-Jews and their children are not Jewish and they have no connection to Judaism and they don't even know they're Jewish. And that's what's happening here.
They
for
become
200
goys.
They become goys through the shiksas.
Goy means nations. Goy is not a bad word. Goy means a
No, it means cattle. I saw Candace Owens say it means cattle. No, I know it means nation. But what does the Bible say about the
word
nations?
of what
It
you
says,
say?
like, you're going to suck the milk of the nations, or the nations are going to bow down, or that we're going to tremble in fear and lick the dust, like in Isaiah.
Do you know the nation of Israel is also called Goy in the Torah? Goy Kadosh, Holy Goy. Goy means a nation. The meaning of
they call me the Goy Shiach, Rabbi. You like that name, the Goy Shiach?
Who is he?
Me.
That's his name on the internet. The internet coined him the Goy Shiach. Heavily pushed by himself and his clan. Gonna give it to him.
Gavin McInnes was telling me I'm blamed by Gentiles that I'm a Jew lover, and I'm blamed by the Jew for being an anti-Semite. I guess the truth is somewhere in the middle. That's how he started his presentation.
Yeah, well, one side calls me a Nazi and the other side calls me a Jew, so I'm in the same boat.
Nobody questions where my allegiance is to.
Adam,
guys,
the secret Qatari agent. All right. Do you have to go, Rabbi? You said you had to go like almost an hour
I have
ago.
to go. I
but
told
guess
Adam
just like talking
maximum
The
to
rabbi
me,
gave you over 2 hours, Adam Green.
I
2
know.
hours and a sequel to look forward
2
to.
hours
I'm
and
like the
20
most privileged
minutes
guy in the whole world.
He
I
is
told Adam maximum
now
90
that Goy
minutes.
Shiach thing is like making a lot of sense. I don't know.
Look, we have now, I gave him homework to watch my Torah and science films and get back to me. Then we'll do another show. Next time
Sounds
we'll
good.
talk about the validity of the Torah. Do we know?
Mhm.
All these questions. But first, watch the
Okay.
film. This it will make the conversation a lot more fluent.
Mhm.
Wow.
All right.
Sounds good. Appreciate your time, Rabbi. Really cool to talk to you.
Thank you. Good luck with your book. All the best.
Thank you.
Wow, guys, I got to say, what a show that we had today. Thank you, Rabbi Mizrachi, for coming through. Thank you, Adam Green.